Ready, come on. We're going to be talking about I think this light is off over here. It is. I'll be right back. I'm going to turn on this light really quick. For those of you on the live, I'll be right back. Give me a quick second. I'm going to turn on this light back here. Turn on my lighting, get my lighting going. There we go. Okay, we're back. We are back. How are you? Mm. Oh, my goodness. So good. Mm. Absolutely delicious. Someone said that was fast. I had to turn on this light over here. This light over here was off. How's everybody doing? So we're gonna be talking about the astrology of the week. Those of you that are new here, thank you for being here. Um, this is a collective session, so this is not geared for anybody in particular, but the messages and the insights that I can be providing today could resonate with you, though. It could, pertain to you. Um, But don't go and ask me for a reading right now. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Like, oh, can you go ahead and read my chart for me and pull some cards? No, I can't. That's what my calendar's for. I'm just kidding, but not really. But I love you all. Hope you guys had a great weekend. The moon's in Virgo right now with the South Node. So if you've been feeling a little funky this weekend, if you have fallen sick or fallen ill, or if you just feel kind of drained, tired, exhausted, no energy, paranoia, anxiety, Moon in Virgo things with the South Node, okay? So we're gonna be pulling some cards. I'm gonna read into the energies of the week, and then we're gonna talk about the astrology. So really, um, some big things happening this week when it comes to the stars. First, today, Venus has gone into Taurus. So, Venus in Taurus is going to be really good for our money and our love life. It's really good for us transitioning into springtime. Venus going into her rulership in Taurus. So, we're going to be talking about Venus in Taurus today. Um, we also have a full moon in Libra. Ah, ah, ooh, ooh. We have a full moon in Libra. My dog's looking at me like, dude, why are you making all those noises? Relax. We have a full moon in Libra coming up in a few days. That's the highlight of the week is our full moon in Libra. It's actually going to be on April 1st. Yeah, it looks like it's on Wednesday, April 1st, midday. We have our full moon in Libra. It's going to be, I believe, at 12 degrees, which is the Pisces degree. So there's going to be a lot of things around relationships that are going to be coming up for people this week. Already maybe started, maybe some angry things, some angry sentiments, some irritation, some frustration, some woundedness that has come up in the realm of relationships and partnerships for people already, starting last week, going into this week. Because last week, what did we have? We had our Venus Chiron conjunction, which was like on Wednesday and Thursday. So there's a lot of relationship, partnership woundedness that came up for people last week with Venus and Aries conjoining Chiron. But now we got this full moon in Libra this week. That's going to be on April 1st. And it's really going to be having us take a look at our relationships, our partnerships. It's going to have us take a look at the way that we reconcile, the way that we forgive, the way that we bring things back into harmony and balance. Full moons are about release and clearing things out and letting shit go, though. So this full moon in Libra could also be about for certain folks like really clearing out relationship stuff from the past and letting go of a partner of the past or really finding closure or completion within yourself around a relationship that just didn't work out or that didn't wasn't meant to last in some type of way, right? So we're gonna talk about that. This full moon in Libra is also gonna be making a square to Jupiter. So this is a very important full moon for people making big life choices and decisions, people going in new directions, right? We just had this new moon in, well, not just had, a week and a half ago now, we had our new moon in Pisces, which was ruled by Jupiter. And remember, Jupiter had just gone direct. He just went direct on March 10th, right? We had Mercury go direct on the 20th. So right at the beginning of Aries season, 10 days ago, went forward, came out of, his retrograde. Jupiter came out of his retrograde, his 4 month retrograde on the 10th of March. And now we have this 40-day period where all the planets are moving forward. There's no planets in retrograde. So there's no planets having us go backwards, having us look at the past, kind of holding us back or stopping us or even delaying things. There's none of this planetary energy that's like withholding us, delaying us, stopping us, having us go back to the past, reflect upon the past, right? All the planets are moving forward. So this tells us, this Aries season and this energy that we're in right now is really about forward movement. And the Jupiter in Cancer squaring the full moon is going to be about that. Really, so this full moon with Jupiter in a square with the sun and the moon, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be making very important decisions or choices around the things that they're committing to long term. So long-term plan, long-term education, maybe a long-term living situation or a long-term relationship, but also freeing themselves or liberating themselves from things that they've invested a lot of time into that are no longer serving them, that are no longer in balance, that are causing some kind of disharmony, causing some kind of lack, or even causing some kind of irritation, woundedness, pain, frustration in their life. We're going to be seeing with this full moon in Libra, a lot of people deciding, like, you know what, I've tried to make this work, or tried to figure this out, tried to heal this, tried to repair this, but I am in this connection alone. I'm in this relationship by myself, right? Aries season, especially with Sun, Saturn, and Aries, we're going to have Mars soon to go into Aries. Aries season, especially this particular Aries season, is really having us choose ourselves. It's really having us take a look at how important it is that we stand on our own 2 feet. Like we need to be strong, powerful individuals. Aries is the sign of the individual. It's a sign of you. Where Libra is a sign of your partnership, your relationships, your relationship with others. Where Aries is your relationship with the self. When you don't have a healthy relationship with the self, you have unhealthy relationship with others. That's how it works, right? Your own stuff, like whatever you're not looking at within yourself, whatever you need to work on, whatever frustrations, challenges, difficulties, whatever it is that you go through within yourself, it's always going to be mirrored or reflected into the your other half, into the person standing across from you. Your relationships, right? And this is what the axis of Libra and Aries teaches us. Our relationships are meant to show us the areas of within our individual self that we need to work on or improve on. And sometimes this isn't about like, needing to be a better partner, but sometimes, a challenging, difficult relationship experience comes into your life to show you that you need to be more vocal in your relationships, to show you that you need to be more assertive in your relationships, to show you that you need to have better boundaries in your relationships, to show you that you need to not be giving and doing and helping and supporting unless there's already an agreement in place where there's some kind of reciprocation, right? Or there's some kind of balance, or that other person across from you is able to go ahead and give back in some type of way, right? So we just want to really think about this. I think this full moon in Libra this week, and I'll talk more about this when we're done with the tarot piece. When I talk about the full moon in Libra, and we're talking about the astrology a little bit deeper, after you do the tarot. But this week is really going to have us take a look at what the way that we give and take in relationships, and how we ask and how we receive and how we support and how we show up for others, but also how we show up for ourselves. And oftentimes, also of even more importance, okay, how we abandon ourselves or neglect ourselves or reject ourselves in order to keep, sustain, have, obtain relationships. How we go less than so we can fit into the box of an idea that someone has for us or the capacity that someone has for our life, right? And this is a very hard thing. It's a very difficult thing because sometimes our passions and our desires conflict with relationships and partnerships. Aries opposite Libra. And sometimes what we want from a relationship is not what the other person has capacity to give us. So this is sometimes someone will offer you their contract to you is a friendship, but you want a relationship or a partnership. So guess what? Conflicting Aries relationship interests, Libra. I want this and you want that. Can we reconcile this? Can we find some middle ground? Maybe, maybe not. And if not, then guess what? There is no union. There is no partnership. That's not the relationship contract that I want with you. I don't want to be a friend. Okay? I don't want to be an acquaintance. Okay? I don't want to be one of your many options. Okay? I don't want to be your I'm getting about to get funny with this. I don't want to be your third. I don't want to be your woman on the side or your man on the side. I don't want to be your, your late night, 3 o'clock booty call. I want I want a container for our relationship, right? I want a title. Give me name me. I want a badge. I want a title. I want Facebook official. I want to be on your Instagram. Show me on your Instagram. I need to be on this, not just my hands, not just my feet. I want my face on Instagram. You listen. Am I right or am I right? Right? So sometimes, you know what, the contract, the social contract that someone is offering you is not what you want. That's not what I want. I don't want a relationship like that. I don't want to be like that, you know? I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So with that in mind, okay, this full moon in Libra is going to have people taking action around relationship matters, and also getting some kind of closure with relationship matters of the past. We're going to be seeing a lot of that. We'll go a little bit deeper about that. I'll talk more about that after we do the tarot, okay? But I just want to give you guys a little preview. Let's go ahead and pull some cards, though. Let's see what Spirit has to say. Spirit, what do we got? What's the collective energy for the week? What do we got? What do we got for the people? What do we got for the people? I'm looking at this beautiful cherry blossom. Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Let's put those back. I got this beautiful cherry blossom tree outside of my. You guys can take a look. Look at this beautiful. Look at my view. Look at this beautiful cherry blossom tree out there. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's like so gorgeous out there. All right. She said, I thought I missed the car. Give it to me, spirit. Give it to me. Some of y'all came here to be read today, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you a good little reading. Okay, you've been asking for it. You've been needing the reading. I'm gonna give it to you. Okay, here we go. Let's go and pull some more. Let's go ahead and shuffle these a little bit more though. Uh-oh, look at the mailman's coming. The mailman's coming. He's got a message. Yeah. Oh my God. I've been feeling so silly and like I've been like in such a goofy mood like the last like few days. I think it's Mercury in Pisces making me really goofy. I think it's Mercury going over my rising. All right, let's pull these cards. Let me just tap in a little bit. The Queen of Pentacles, Nine of Swords. What are we stressing about, my loves? Okay, babies. We need to get a hold of our fears, anxieties, paranoias, the stresses of the world. There's a lot of mental stimulation right now. This has been coming in very strongly over the last few weeks. Information overload, information overwhelm, being caught with like being stuck, analysis paralysis, being caught in between like it's like different choices and different decisions. Like it's like an overwhelm of options, an overwhelm of activity, an overwhelm of possibility. It's like feeling overwhelmed by our potential or feeling overwhelmed by what is possible. Like there's just like too much to do. It feels like the Queen of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, the King of Pentacles in reverse. Like there's too much to do, you know? You know what else this is telling me? The Queen of Pentacles upright or I'm sorry, the Queen of Pentacles upright and the King of Pentacles in reverse. We're not in our masculine enough. We're not in our masculine enough when it comes to the way that we're dealing with the material world or the way that we're experiencing the material world. Like, okay, let's talk about the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. I want to talk about these two cards, especially because this one came out in reverse and this one came out upright. So the Queen of Pentacles is how we receive wealth, okay? How we experience wealth from a perspective of the feminine. So we grow it, we nurture it, we support it, we sustain it, we save it, right? But what's so interesting about the Queen of Pentacles is a Virgo energy, is a Virgo card. So this has a lot to do with anxiety, paranoia, being stressed out about money, the hustle, the struggle bus. Oh, I gotta work so hard and I gotta hustle and I gotta, and it has a lot to do, even though it's a queen, it's not the Empress. The Empress is a very different energy than the Queen of Pentacles, the Empress card. The Queen of Pentacles, she's humble and she doesn't ask for too much. And she's like, okay, well, you know what? I'll go ahead and accept this. If this is what you can give me, then this is what I'll accept. It kind of gives the energy of like a maid. It gives the energy of like someone who's overly polite, someone who doesn't want to step on other people's toes. So they're very afraid to ask for more, to ask for a promotion, to ask for that position, to like even take on ownership or leadership positions. Like the Queen of Pentacles is also giving me a message around like, oh, you know what? It's okay. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want that responsibility. I don't want that hardship. I don't want that difficulty. I don't want things to be hard or difficult. I don't want to try that hard. I'm okay with things as they are. I'm okay with the way it is. I'm okay with how much money I'm making. But actually, deep down inside, spiritually, within yourself, you know that you want more. You know that you deserve better. Because being in this state for too long, being overly humble, overly nice, overly receptive, like being too comfortable with where you're at, being too comfortable in your money making, in your job, being too comfortable in making that amount of money, being too comfortable with like your routine and like, oh my, like that's not good. Let me tell you why it's not good. Because it blocks abundance. Like sometimes us being overly nice and overly humble and us being like, oh, it's okay, avoidance of like the hard work and the responsibility and the leadership positions and like the upward mobility and the growth, right? What it actually does is it blocks us from abundance because this position we're not going to be in here for too long. Spirit, God, the divine is not going to have us sit here for too long before we get start to made uncomfortable because we have a mission to accomplish. We have things that we have to learn. There's things that we have to do as souls, right? And for some of you, it's like your goal, your a big part of your life mission is becoming a business owner, is becoming a CEO, becoming a boss, is making $1 million, is buying your first property, buying your first home, is having zero debt. For some of your like your spiritual mission, like what you came here to do, which is in your life plan, which is your contract with spirit and the divine and God, is buying a house, is learning how to save money, is treating your body better, eating healthy, is is like being strategic with your debt, paying off the debt, settling the debts, being responsible with the way you handle money and resources, starting your own business, make your own money. This is part of your contract. It seems mundane, right? We tend to think that the mundane things that are earthly, things that are money oriented, resource oriented of the physical world are the farthest away from God. We have this delusion. We have this idea money is not of God. The material world is the most densest element. The earth element is the most densest element. It is the farthest away from God, from spirit, from the unseen, the unknown. But it is also just as divine. Divinity is also in the basic, in the simple, in the earth element. The earth element is just as sacred and just as divine as the other ones. Money is divine. It is. Not anything can be bad or good, right? A lot of this came up in actually it's so crazy how I'm talking about this because this came up in a reading that I actually did last week with a client. So let me tell you about this reading that I did last week. Okay, I got a download when I was doing a client's chart that they had taken multiple vows of poverty over many lifetimes. And so they have this, they've renunciated, renounced is the right word, wealth and money. And they have this idea and this belief that they've carried through many lifetimes that money is evil, that money is evil. Money is no good. Therefore, they push money away. They stay away from money. Money slips through their fingers and they have a really bad relationship with money because their belief system tells them, right, over many lifetimes they've gone without money, they have foregone money willingly as part of their spiritual development, as part of a spiritual commitment that they made to the divine in past lives. So in this lifetime, they're horrible with money. They have a really hard time holding on to money, and they have a weird relationship with money where it's like, I want it, but ew, it's also gross. Like, stay away from me. Because money, right? They have a belief or an idea that money corrupts good character, or that money, sours, poisons the soul, or that money, is going to make you a bad person in some type of way. But this is not the truth, my loves. This is not the truth. And what's so fascinating is that when I did this reading for this client, the past life downloads that I got was actually that they have been a servant or a slave, and they've worked or been in families that were very wealthy, very rich. So they had an experience wealth of wealthy people with bad characters, bad morals, bad ethics. Like they many lives they lived around wealthy people where they were a servant or a slave around wealthy people who were horrible people, bad morals, bad character, but they were rich or wealthy. So they have in this lifetime this kind of karmic woundedness associated with wealth that they have to free themselves from so that wealth can actually become something that they feel like they deserve and they can actually have and heal the relationship with money and resources, right? Why am I talking about this? Because the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles came out, King of Pentacles in reverse, the Nine of Swords in between them, and then we have the Four of Pentacles. We all the Pentacles cards, right? And so right? The message, the reason why I told you guys a story is because many of us, especially those of us that are spiritual, that are on the spiritual path in this lifetime, or even those of us that want to be spiritual workers, we are spiritual workers. We want to have a spiritual business. We want to have a Reiki business, a tarot business, astrology business, whatever. A lot of us, we also have taken vows of poverty in past lives where we have been a part of a monastery, we've been a part of church, we've been a part of a spiritual movement that willingly renounced money and wealth and riches. It was part is so we carry with us this kind of karmic mistrust, this karmic woundedness, this karmic belief that money is evil, money is no good. And we in the material world, all things of the material world are the farthest away from God. So, not so if we're talking about things in the material world, right? We're talking about our bodies, we're talking about physical pleasure, we're talking about money, we're talking about riches, we're talking about objects, we're talking about luxury, we're talking about fashion, we're talking like these are the things that because the earth element is the densest that we may have a belief around are the farthest away from God, right? Or that will take us away from God, but that is not the truth. You could be abundant, you could be beautiful, you could be blessed and very close to God and very chosen. You can be, a person of faith and a person that is super, super close to the divine in a mansion. You know, you can. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And the other thing to keep in mind, and this is one of the things that Spirit always tells me, it's not about the amount of money that you have, but it's about how you make your money and what you do with it. That really is the test. Is really the moral, ethical test. How you make your money is more important than money itself. Money is energy. If you are doing good, if you're helping, if you're healing, if you're serving, if you're supporting, if you're showing up for people, and that is how you're making your money, there's nothing bad about that money, right? If you're taking advantage of people, you're lying, you're scheming, you're cheating, you're deceiving people for money or resources, that's bad karma. That's bad money, right? Money made through alcohol, money made through drugs, money made through sex. That money is not good money. It's not pure. It's not clean. It's a little tainted. Something to keep in mind. The way that we make our money also has an energetic impact on us. And it also has energetic relevance. How you spend your money is also super important. You know what you should not be spending money on. Why are you going and gambling? Why are you going and throwing your money away on things that you don't even need? Right? Why are you going ahead and spending your money on stuff that is actually not healthy or not good for you where you should be saving? or you should be paying off your debts, or whatever. How you treat your money, how you spend your money also says a lot about your relationship with it, okay? And it also has an energetic impact on your wallet. When you treat money with respect, when you are aware of what your relationship with money, and if you are responsible with it, and if you give it and share it with people that you love, and it's meaningful, and you save it, whatever, you're gonna see it. It's gonna stay, it's gonna grow, it's gonna prosper. Okay. There's a lot of stuff coming up with this reading right now about around the collective needs to heal the relationship with resources and money in the material world. This also has a lot to do with health in the body. Okay. Because they're all earth element things. So our relationship with our body and our health is also reflected in our relationship with our food, with our money, with objects, with the material world. So when we don't have a good relationship with our body and our health, we typically also don't have a good relationship with money or resources or food. That's like it's a mirrored thing, you know. I can see miniature of Lord Krishna in the background. Yes, we got him right there. Also, there's a bigger version of him right here. You can see him right there. Me and Krishna, we're like this. Me and Krishna are like this. Me and Ganesh are like this. Me and Jesus are like this. Me and the Buddha are like this. Me and Mother Mary are like this. Me and Lakshmi, because I'm a Libra everything in Vedic astrology. Me and Lakshmi are tight. We go way back. Millennia. We go way back. We go way back. I go way back with these figures. So, all right. So that was that. But let's talk about the King of Pentacles. I want to talk about this. Okay? I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the King of Pentacles. And then we're going to get to the other part of the tarot reading, okay? Let's talk about the King of Pentacles in reverse. So, if the Queen of Pentacles is the feminine principle when it comes to resources and money in the material world, the King of Pentacles is the masculine principle. And it's interesting because this is the card that came out in reverse. So I want to talk about the masculine principle when it comes to resources and money because the spirit is telling me that this is where we need to do work. The masculine principle is how we go out there and achieve, how we go out there and build, how we go out there and grow our own garden, how we don't see, it's like you're looking around the world, you're like, wait a minute, I don't see this particular business. I don't see this particular, food product. I don't see this particular type of work being done. So, you know what? That must be my calling to go ahead and fill in the gaps and to provide the service, to provide the product, to provide the guidance, to provide the business, whatever that is missing in the world. This is telling me, the King of Pentacles in reverse, that we need to be more in our masculine when it comes to money resources. So this is about being an entrepreneur. This is about being a self-starter. This is about being disciplined when it comes to resources. This is about doing the work, but this is also about going out and making it happen. That's the difference between the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is the businessman. He started his construction business when he was 20. He, started his electrical engineering business when he was 25. He like inherited the family business and expanded it and grew it. And now, it used to be, we were making 50,000, 100,000 a year, and now we're making $500,000 a year with the business because the son inherited his dad's business and he multiplied it, right? He expanded it and grew it. So the King of Pentacles has a lot to do with the masculine principle and how we create wealth, how we go out and achieve, how we go out and succeed and things like this. And the King of Pentacles, this man is regal. This man is wealthy. This is a rich man right here. Look at him. He's a rich man right here. But he may have inherited it. It's a possibility. He could have inherited it. The King of Pentacles, I don't know, what's interesting, what's coming through to me right now is transference of wealth or like generational wealth is coming through for me right now. So this could also be about like, We create wealth for our ancestors, we create wealth for our next of kin, or this is about creating generational wealth, is what I'm hearing with the King of Pentacles up with the King of Pentacles. It came out in reverse. But what the King of Pentacles is telling me is like we want to create generational wealth. What are we going to leave to our children? What is their inheritance going to be, right? And but the big message with it coming out in reverse is that many of us, we need to get out of our head and get into the body. We need to start just doing the work, like the step by step process when it comes to resources and money. So this is like, if you want a new job, you go out and continue to put applications, you go on the interviews and all that. If you want to like start an online business, this is like going online and making the website and like doing the design and like, or even like, connecting to the people, doing the research, watching the YouTube videos, getting the help or guidance that you need to like do whatever it is that you can't associate with the money in the business. That's what Spirit is saying. But like, Spirit is kind of saying like we need to kind of really work on our masculine principle in the way that we experience and deal with resources or create wealth and resources in the world. That's what this is saying. Okay. Obviously, we're stressed out about money. Nine of Swords in reverse, you know, the Queen of Pentacles. I think actually the Nine of Swords came out upright, if I yeah, I think the Nine of Pentacles or the Nine of Swords came out great. And the King of Pentacles in reverse. Also, the other message with this is like we are in a moment of huge financial transition and change, and like the economy is like dying off and like being reborn, and like there's like a lot evolving when it comes to resources and money and the way the economy works on like a global scale and stuff. So Spirit is saying to like don't get caught in like the nitty gritty of it all. Like be really flexible and adaptable, and don't, this collective moment of like transition and change that's happening right now financially in the world, where like people are losing jobs and AI is taking over and like the economy is changing and the types of jobs are changing, and inflation, all this, like don't take it personal. Like, this is like a much bigger moment that's impacting like millions, if not billions of people. And, we can really take these larger kind of karmic things personal, or we can like make it about us. Like, oh, I'm a failure and I'm not succeeding and I'm not no, baby, we're all in a fucking collective moment. What are you talking about? Like, we are all in a collective moment of upheaval where nothing is safe or secure. Okay. And it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to feel that way right now. So just lean into that, okay? Um, Nine of Swords, Eight of Swords, Two of Swords. The Two of Swords actually came out in reverse. This is a week where you got to say what you got to say. You got to say what you got to say, my love. There's something in somebody that you got to talk to. There's a difficult conversation that you got to have. There's a decision that you've been rummaging with, that you've been like going back and forth with. You've just been like going in circles around what to do, what to do, what should I do, what should I do, what should I do, what should I do. And Spirit is saying, you either decide to do nothing, or just take action and do what your gut is telling you, or do the hard thing, is what Spirit is saying. Spirit is saying like, the reason why you're avoiding it, the conversation or the decision or whatever, because it's a hard conversation. It's a hard decision that you got to make. It's gonna have a domino effect that maybe other people aren't happy about or other people don't like. Okay. But that's not your concern. Your concern is speaking your truth, doing what's best for you, saying what you need to say, doing what you need to do to get things moving forward again, and to get whatever you've been holding in your heart or whatever is like on your conscience or whatever has been weighing heavy or whatever has been on your mind, whatever this is, it just needs to go. It needs to be settled. The decision needs to be made. The conversation needs to be had. The communication needs to happen. The relationship needs to be cut. You know, there needs to be some kind of severing. There needs to be some kind of truth. There needs to be some kind of, this could also be about like there needs to be a confession. This is my confession. Gonna stop. Then she got one on the way. It's my confession. Man, I'm cold and I don't know what to do. So I'm gonna give you part two of my confession. This, honestly, I will full moon in Libra this week. I will not be surprised if someone confesses something this week. They could be confessing your love. They could be confessing that they cheated on you. They could be confessing that they're broke and they ain't got no money. They could be confessing that their mama don't like you. That's for somebody. That one right there. That one right there. The mama don't like you. That's for someone very specific. Okay? And you feel it. You know, you're like, I just feel like his mom don't like me. Yes, you're right. His mama don't like you. Okay? You know why? Because she feels threatened by you. She feels like you're taking your son away from her. How dare you take her son away from her? That is her baby. That's her child, okay? And you are threatening, all right, her relationship with her son. So therefore, she don't like you. Period. That's for somebody. Or my mama don't like him. Or that. Yeah, that could be that too. Yeah. If your mom don't like somebody, that's a big problem. Okay. If you're it really depends. It really no, it really depends. You know, there's some for some people, I don't know, their mom, I don't know. Mom is, I don't know. For some people, your mom, I don't know. Your mom could be, she could be a saboteur. Your mom is just jealous, okay? She could be a saboteur. For some people, your mother is a saboteur. So, I wouldn't be so quick uh to let her in on things. Why did I pick up the cards like that? I wasn't done with the reading. Hold on, my bad. Maybe we're almost done. Okay, we're almost done with the reading now. There's one more card I have to go over that came out. So Eight of Swords, Two of Swords. Don't be afraid. Don't be all caught up, all stressed out, all anxious, all paranoid, and don't be silent this week. This is a week where you need to be vocal. You need to advocate for yourself. You need to speak up for yourself. You need to address the elephant in the room. You need to write the letter. You need to make the phone call. You need to send the email. You need to get the business plan going. You need to get the website going. It's the moon's in Virgo. So I'm giving y'all a list of shit to do right now. The moon's actually in Virgo today, right now, this very moment. So I'm giving y'all a list of shit to do because the Queen of Pentacles is saying, you guys, there's stuff that's got to get done. Okay. There's stuff we got to do our spring cleaning. We got to organize things. We got to streamline things. We got to get things going. We got to start building the network. We got to start building the business. We got to get the Square readers. We can start accepting digital payments. So we just don't got to do things all in cash. Like there's some evolution and some upgrading that we got to do around the material world, around resources, around the way we're making money and things like this. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, then the last card that came out is the King of Wands, and the King of Wands is a bossy mofo. This is a man that means business. Look at the way he's sitting. Like, have you guys ever noticed men that sit like this? They sit with their legs open. I'm a gay man, so I notice this all the time, but there's something around men that sit with their legs open like this. Look at the way this man is sitting. And because you know what it is? You know what this has a lot to do with? This has a lot to do with someone, the King of Wands, he's confident. He's powerful. He knows his authority. Like, he's like, I'm the shit. So I sit with my legs open. I got nothing to hide. Like, you look at the way look at the space he's taking up on this throne. Look at this. Just taking up space. You see? There's nothing humble about this guy. Okay? This guy is very powerful. Look at he's got his wand. He's like, I'm the boss, I'm the king. Look at that's why he's got the here we go. The lion on the back of the seat. So it's funny because the King of Wands is actually associated with the card of Leo, where the Emperor is associated with Aries. It's a very different energy. Like check, yeah. Someone said, like, yeah, let me check your cry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right? I sit, someone said I sit like this. Yeah. Because the King of Wands, right? He's assertive and he's powerful and he's authoritative and he knows what he wants and he's like a commander energy. He's like a leader, he's a commander, he's a CEO, he's a manager. And the King of Wands coming out this week is telling me that many of us we got to work on our our authority, like our individual authority, like our power, you know. Um we got to work on our confidence. We got to work on our ability to be seen and celebrated and recognized. You know, the King of Wands is a very visible king. He's on the throne. He's not shy. You know, he welcomes, you know, opportunities where he can go ahead and speak to the groups and speak to speak to his people. He loves that. The King of Wands loves attention, right? He's a Leo energy. He loves to be seen. He loves to be celebrated. He loves to be recognized, and he loves to kind of stand over people and kind of, you know, illuminate and share his wisdom, share his knowledge, share his energy with others, right? The King of Wands is very much like that. And so what the King of Wands is saying this week is there is some work that we have to do around our ability to take up space, like giving ourselves permission to expand, giving ourselves permission to be seen and celebrated, giving ourselves permission to kind of stand out and be an individual, right? Like that can be a little bit like a hard thing. Being an individual can be a little challenging, can be a little hard sometimes because when you're individual, you're standing away and apart from the crowd or from the group. So you kind of are separate, right? And that path can be a very lonely one as well as what I'm hearing. That path can be very misunderstood by others. So, in you choosing your own individual path and you kind of stepping into the truth of your identity and you stepping into your passion or purpose, that kind of trusting and following of your individual instinct is going to take you away from the flock. It's going to take you away from the group. It's going to take you away sometimes from the family or from the friendships. Okay. So it's kind of like also understanding that, you know, when a king gets anointed in some type of way, or when a lord gets anointed, or even at certain times when a leader gets promoted, like let's say when a leader gets promoted from like a manager to CEO or whatever, there's also that kind of hierarchical division that happens where they become separate where it's like, okay, the CEO is no longer interacting with just like the everyday people. You know what I mean? The king, you don't see the king interacting every day with the people. Like the king is in he's in his chambers, right? He's in his castle. He's doing his thing. And the people are living their life. And every now and again, there is a point of contact, right? Where the people will come to the king or the king will come to the people, but they live two very separate lives. They live two very different lives. And this is one of the things that Spirit is telling me that some of you guys need to embrace or embody because you're having a hard time leaving behind your past, leaving behind your childhood, leaving behind your place of upbringing, leaving behind like, you know, your family. For some of you, yes, I this is it. This is the message. Your task, your mission, your growth, your purpose, your passions, whatever, are going to take you away from your place of upbringing, are going to take you away from your childhood, are going to take you away from your family. It's going to take you away from your coworkers, from, you know, the flock, so that you can ascend and become an individual. You can step into your power, step into your divine authority, and follow the path, follow the bigger mission, you know? Yes. Heavy is the crown. Very, very true. And let me tell you, this man is wearing, I think, a heavy crown. You know, I think it's a pretty heavy crown that he's wearing, you know. Um, but you know, Spirit is really saying that you kind of got to do you and choose you this week. And this is an Aries season thing. Saturn's in Aries now, you know. You got to kind of choose you and do you this week. And you got to be okay with following your own path, stepping away from the flock and things like this. Some of you are just like you're holding on to you're like stuck. Like look at you. What the fuck are you holding on to? I'm sorry. Excuse my language. What are we holding on to? Look at this. What do you look at this? Clinging on to shit that ain't even worthwhile. It didn't even value you. It didn't appreciate you. All it did was make you broke. All it did was bring lack energy. Why are we holding on to things that bring us the energy of lack, that bring us the energy of poverty, that bring us the energy of emptiness, that bring us the energy of they don't value me, they don't appreciate me. I did so much for them. And what are we doing? Why are we holding on to this? What are we doing, my loves? You're clinging on to nothing. You know what this is like? I'm gonna tell you what this is like, okay? This is like a teddy bear that your ex gave you, and because you only got, they never gave you shit ever. They never gave you anything. So they gave you this teddy bear, and it just happened to be because you guys were at like a carnival or something, and they won it and they gave it to you, right? And so you're holding on to this teddy bear like it's the most precious thing, the most valuable thing in the world. And you're holding on to it and you're holding on to it, and you don't want to let it go because that's the only thing they gave you. And they didn't give you nothing else. But that thing is an embodiment, that teddy bear is an embodiment of lack. I want you to understand this. It's an embodiment of pain, of lack, of all this shit that they didn't give you. And so you're holding on to the one thing that they did. And that one thing that they did give you is a teddy bear from a carnival that's not even that valuable. It ain't even that worthy. It ain't worth nothing. You're holding on to, yeah, holding on to crumbs at the bottom of a potato chip bag. Exactly. So what are we clinging on to? What are we holding on to? What do we have to release and let go of? Because yeah, and this is a poverty mindset. It is a scarcity mindset. It is a lack mindset. It's this is all I'm worth. This is all I can ever deserve. This is the only thing available to me. It's this or nothing. Like we got to get out of this kind of like we got to get out of this lack mindset. We got to get out of this desperation. Oh, potato famine is giving potato famine. Is giving potato famine energy. I love my Irish people, by the way. If there's any Irish people here, I love you guys. But is giving there's just lack and there's famine everywhere, and we're buying into the narrative. We're allowing this energy to kind of like take us away from our own abundance, our own worth, our own value. It's fucking us up. Listen, it's fucking you up in some type of way. This energy it's not good because it's telling the universe this is all I deserve. This is all I'm worth. Maybe and it's yeah, it's giving poverty consciousness, my love. It's giving desperation, it's giving lack, it's giving scarcity mindset. It's not good. All right. It's time to glow up. It's time to glow up. It's time to grow up. It's time to green up. It's time to become more abundant. Okay. It's time to start, chasing the rainbows and find the pot of gold. Like, baby, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Okay. It's funny because the Queen of Swords is staring up at me. And look at her. To me, look at her. Look at what she's doing with her hand. Look at where she's got her eyes closed and if you take a look at what she's doing with her hand, what does it look like she's doing? It looks like she's releasing something. Like she's just dropping something. It looks like she's just letting some shit go. And I love the Queen of Swords because the Queen of Swords is similar to the Justice card. Let me actually pull up, which is the card of Libra. I don't know if you guys ever, for those of you that do tarot, there's this parallel between the Queen of Swords and the Justice card that is very, very it's very much, it's like cutthroat. The Queen of Swords is a cutthroat woman. Whenever the Queen of Swords comes out, this is a woman that's cold. This is a woman that means business. This is a woman that's cutthroat. She don't mind making a hard or a tough decision because she's like, it is what it is or it isn't. The Queen of Swords and the Justice card. These women, like, this energy is very black and white. It's very, I'm the judge and I'm going to see it as it is and I'm going to call it like it is. And as it is as it is. Don't lie to me. Don't bullshit to me. Don't go ahead and give me excuses. Give me what. No, this is the facts. This is information. This is what happened. And this is my decision. And it is what it is. It's very matter of fact. It's very what you see is what you get. It's very cutthroat. I always think of both these cards as being very cutthroat because they both, they got swords. I mean, it's a woman wielding a sword, right? I mean, come on now, the keeper of justice, right? But also the arbitrator of justice, right? A sword is a violent weapon. A sword is dangerous. A sword cuts through things, right? In the Queen of Swords, the Justice card, the Ace of Swords, these cards have a lot to do with truth, in vocal truth, communicative truth, speaking the truth, knowing the truth, being able to call people accountable or call people out, right? Like holding people accountable to the truth, you know? When you get a lot of swords cards coming out in a reading, you know, more than likely there's an element of truth that needs to be looked at, you know, or there's an element of truth that's missing. Especially when you start getting the Seven of Swords and the Five of Swords, right? Like the more difficult swords cards, the seven, the five, the nine, the eight. When these cards start coming out, something's off, something's awry, and someone is lying when you start getting the difficult swords coming out, you know? So with the full moon in Libra this week, well, guess what? There may be some truths being exposed. There may be some information coming to the surface, you know? Swords are the air element, beloved. The fire element are the wands. Okay? Swords are the element of air, where the wands are the elements of fire. Okay, my loves. So that's the tarot reading for this week. So we got some work that we got to do on our intrinsic sense of worth, intrinsic sense of value. We got to do some healing around our relationship with money and resources, especially the feminine, how we receive. But we also got to embody the masculine principle in the way that we go out and build money, the way we go out and create wealth, the way that we open businesses, start businesses. You know, like it's kind of like, we grew here in the States, especially. We grew up in a culture where we're used to going to other people's gardens in order to sustain ourselves or in order to support ourselves, in order to like prosper. Like, and what do I mean by that? We're used to going to other people's garden, meaning that we're used to working. We're used to going to a job and then get in, like, so we go to the job, we go to the other person's garden, right? We go and pick the fruit, we do our day labor, and then we come home. We're used to having this relationship at work that's more so about, I don't own my place of business. I am just an employee, and I go and I work and I do my job and I go to their garden, I pick the fruit and I whatever, and then I go home. But no, we're entering this timeline where everyone, not everyone, but many people, it's time for them to start growing their own garden. It's time to learn how to become a gardener. This system of the feudal system of going and working on the Lord's land is no longer working because the lords are replacing all of their indentured servants with robots. So they're not going to need us anymore, right? They're not going to need us. They're not going to need the indentured servitude. They're not needing the labor on their land anymore. The lords aren't needing the labor on the land anymore. So it's time for the community for we got to go into our backyard and got to grow our own garden. They don't need us anymore. The lords don't need the farm workers anymore, right? Not, I mean, I'm just gonna let y'all know that, okay? Because this is the truth. This is the direction of the economy. This is where we're going. So, all right, it's 1 o'clock. Let's talk about the astrology of the week. We are going to pick up where we left off on the full moon in Libra. We're going to be talking about Venus and Taurus. Let me take a look at really quick. Let me just take a gander. Let me take a look. See at the astrology for the week really quick. Let me see if there's anything else. I know Mars is going to be going into Aries pretty soon, but not okay, not this week. So this week, the only planet that changes signs this week is Venus going to Taurus. And the big lunar event is our full moon in Libra. And the moon starts off in Virgo today, and the moon's going to end in the sign of Sagittarius by Monday, April 5th. So the moon's going to be transiting Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sag this week. Okay? Um, I do believe this full moon in Libra Hmm. We have Venus in the eighth house away from the full moon. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Oh yeah, well people are doing it's April 1st, so that makes sense. People are doing their taxes. This is the taxes full moon. So we have the if you put the full moon on the rising, if you put Libra on the rising, what you get in the eighth house is the sign of Taurus, which is where Venus, the ruler of the full moon, is going to be at for this full moon. She's going to be in Taurus in the eighth house away from the full moon in Libra. You know what's really fascinating, actually, for those of you that are astrological philosophers like myself? The Venus signs and the Mars signs are in aversion to each other. So they quincunx each other. So I think that's really interesting because, like, the signs of Venus, which are Libra and Taurus, and the signs of Scorpio, which are Aries, or I'm sorry, the signs of Aries, of Mars, which are Scorpio and Aries, they don't have a good relationship with each other, actually. Like Libra and Taurus don't see each other on the astrological wheel, and Aries and Scorpio don't see each other on the astrological wheel either. If you put Libra on the rising, what you get is Taurus in the eighth house, and if you put Aries on the rising, what you get is Scorpio in the eighth house. Same thing. If you were to put Scorpio on the rising, what you're going to get is Aries in the sixth house. And if you were to put Taurus on the rising, what you'll get is Libra in the sixth house. And the eighth house and the sixth house is eighth and sixth house are very challenging chart or very challenging houses. So it's really interesting how, the signs of Venus and Mars, they actually don't have a good relationship with each other. They're in aversion to each other. And I really do think that that speaks to the tension between the masculine and feminine energies that the signs embodies, that the signs embody, which are very, very difficult. For instance, right? Like Mars being like Mars ruling over the sign of Scorpio, Mars doesn't really do good as a water sign, right? He's hot and fiery. So, his original sign is definitely Aries. Like that's the sign that he's most comfortable in. But, Scorpio is in aversion to Aries, right? So that relationship with Mars and him being an emotional planet as well through the sign of Scorpio is also challenging in some type of way. It doesn't really resonate with his rulership over Aries, right? And things like this. Um, yeah, just some philosophy, some interesting stuff. Some of you may not have no idea what I'm talking about, but that's fine too. Okay. But yeah, so the full moon in Libra is going to have an eighth house Venus. So the eighth house is the house of death, rebirth, transformation, change. It has a lot to do with with debt, taxes, inheritance. It also has a lot to do with unearned income. So income like alimony, unemployment, government income. Also inherit. Did I say inheritances already? I could have said inheritances already. Insurance payouts, things like this. Um, that's also the eighth house. So if you're someone, Libra is a sign of the law and has a lot to do with legal battles and court cases. If you're someone that is waiting, especially if you're a cardinal sign, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, um, if you're someone who's waiting for like a lawsuit to close or you're waiting for like some kind of payment to come in or something like this, um, lawsuit to settle or close, or you're waiting for an insurance company to pay you out, or you're waiting for, a settlement check or something like this, look out for it over the next 2 weeks, starting with a full moon in Libra. That's on April 1st, okay? Because the eighth house is going to be very, very active. The other thing with the eighth house energy, though, is this is also going to be about purging or releasing or clearing out of emotional stuff when it comes to relationships, and also emotional stuff when it comes to money and resources. So if you've been like carrying like emotional baggage over some kind of like financial loss, or because like money's been hard or difficult in some type of way, or you've just been feeling like very unworthy and been dealing through self-worth stuff, some of that energy could be triggered or activated, and we could see some movement or some evolution. You may go through some growth or have some evolution through that energy over the next 2 weeks with the full moon in Libra. Um, yeah. And also, Yeah, when it comes to emotional matters, relationship matters. We're letting go or releasing or purging old relationship stuff, like where you maybe you're still partially emotionally invested in someone of the past or something like this. And that's gonna be another realm of focus. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let me put this on the rising. Let me actually put the full moon on the rising. Let's do that so I can kind of get a better idea. If you are a cardinal sign, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, this is, if you have that as your big three, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, this is a very important. Oh, hold on, let me just do a little stretch already here. It is a very important full moon for you. The cardinal signs are being moved and stimulated into action, especially if you have anything around 13 degrees of a cardinal sign. So if you have anything around 13 degrees, Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, or Libra, I literally have a 13-degree Mars in Libra. I'm literally talking to myself right now. You're expect to see some activity and some activation and some stimulation and some movement with this full moon. But I'm going to be honest with you. We have Saturn and the sun in Aries. And even though it's a full moon in Libra, we saw the sun, Saturn, Aries. So to me, there may be some conflict this week that we got to deal with. There may be there may be an argument or a fight, or there may be a boundary, or there may be something, some kind of conflict that we got to deal with, my loves, this week, especially if you're a cardinal sign, Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra. Because of the full moon squaring Jupiter, to me, there's someone like a mother, a father, a family member, a coach, a therapist, a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, a mom, a therapist. There's someone that we got to talk to and that we got to deal with some kind of conflict with this week. Because there's something that needs to be either like rebalanced, or there's a way that we got to assert ourselves, or it could even be because they're holding us back in some type of way. Like this person, their influence, their energy, their power over us, their authority over us, our devotion to them. Ooh, listen to this. Our devotion or our loyalty to them is holding us back in some type of way, or it's blocking us from some kind of growth or expansion, or from taking some kind of risk or leap of faith. This could also be about attachment. I'm hearing attachment. I'm hearing attachment. So this is about people that we're attached to, places that we're attached to, things that we're devoted to. We feel a lot of loyalty to these things. We feel very devoted to them. We feel very like, oh, I gotta, I'm devoted to this, and it's loyalty, and I gotta stay, and I gotta be present, and I gotta sacrifice. I gotta sacrifice myself. I gotta sacrifice things, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's really serving you. I don't know if that's what's best. Mm-mm. This feels like we need to liberate ourselves from this feels like we got to liberate ourselves from some commitments or contracts, or from some long-term engagements, or from some kind of like emotional devoted thing that we have that's kind of blocking us a little bit. It's kind of holding us back. That's what it feels like. That's what spirit is saying. There's something, there's some kind of loyalty, some kind of devotion, something like this, you know, that square to Jupiter. So cardinal signs, yes, this is a very, very important full moon for you. The most beneficial, the most beneficial, uh, the people that are gonna benefit the most from this full moon is what I meant to say. I was like, why is that statement not getting me anywhere? It's because the people that are gonna benefit the most from this full moon are gonna be air signs and fire signs. And what I'm hearing is Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, Aries, Leo, Sag, how Stella got her groove back. So this is like this full moon, like some of y'all fire air signs are like getting your groove back. You're like stepping into your power, you're stepping into your energy, you're stepping into your light, you're stepping into this new chapter. You're realizing that you can't take this person with you. The other thing that I'm getting is like fire signs and air signs, like going back to the gym, working out, making new friends. Oh, I was gonna say making out with new friends. I don't know, that could be a thing. Making out with your friends. That's definitely an air sign thing, I will say. It's definitely an Aquarius, Gemini, Libra thing, making out with friends. I just don't, air signs, y'all need to work on your boundaries with like friends and stuff. That's just like a whole thing with y'all. Like, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, lover to friend and back again. I swear. I don't, y'all need to figure that out. This whole boundaries things with your friends. Like, I'm not someone that does that. I'm not someone that falls in love with friends, even though friends are always falling in love with me, and it's a very weird thing. Um, that's a whole pattern. That's a whole thing in my life. I think it's my 11th house moon. I think it's my 11th house moon where like I've had friends fall in love with me, you know? Oh my goodness. The karmic burdens of an 11th house moon in Capricorn. But there's something about the fire signs and the air signs. You guys are coming back to yourselves, like coming home to yourselves. You guys are getting in you're like feeling better. You're getting back to your energy. You're getting back to yourself. You're getting back to your social, active, spicy, fiery, feisty, strong, powerful, masculine energy, you know? You know the thing about the fire signs and air signs though? Like the fire signs and the air signs, they've had to be in their feminine for like the last couple years. Like the fire signs and the air signs, like many of you have been forced to feel, you've been forced to grieve, you've also been forced to stop and stay and sit. That's what spirit is telling me. There's this energy of being forced to stop, stay, sit, and like experience and like feel and like resolve and like grieve and like go through all these like deep impersonal emotional things. Okay. Where now spirit is like, okay, you've been inside. Now it's time to go back outside. Whatever you've learned in this period, whatever you've learned from being inside, it's time for you to take what you've learned through this experience. It is time for you to take it outside, like to whatever you've learned. It's time to go outside and share it with the world. It's time to go ahead and build a business around it. It's time to go out there and like deal with relationships differently. So maybe some of this kind of like isolation and this kind of like disconnect from the outside world has taught you a lot about relationships and partnerships and like healthy relationships and partnerships and stuff like this, you know? And now it's time for you to go out there, maybe try again, maybe like make yourself available, maybe you learn that you don't need to be dating men that are angry and have temper problems. Maybe you learn that you don't need to be dating people that have alcoholism issues or drug addiction issues, or maybe you've learned to stop dating people that aren't really sure about who they are and what they want when it comes to relationships in general, right? So yeah, maybe you're learn to not be a pick me, no more pick me energy. But what I'm hearing is the fire signs and the air signs are going back outside. They're taking what they've learned over the last couple of years and they're sharing it with the world, and they're ready to like live again. So it's kind of like giving like a fire sign, air sign, like it's like y'all are going through like a rebirth, something like this. It's like a rebirthing energy. Okay. Um, the water signs and the fires, the water signs and the earth signs, my love. I think this full moon's gonna be a little rough for you guys. Um, fire sign, the earth signs and the water signs. This full moon, baby, is really gonna okay. Earth signs and fire sign, or I'm sorry, earth signs and water signs. Why do I keep messing that up? Sorry. Earth signs and water signs. There's a lot of relationship stuff, love stuff, partnership stuff, emotional baggage stuff that you got to clear out with this full moon, my loves. And you know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing forgiveness. I'm hearing closure. I'm hearing peace. I'm hearing acceptance. I'm hearing grace. I'm hearing, forgive them for they know not what they do. I'm hearing they didn't know any better. I'm hearing it wasn't intentional, it was an accident. I'm hearing being a passive observer, letting things happen and unfold without agency or without action or without intention. So it's kind of like painful relationship experiences that are born out of a lack of intention, clarity, truth, or direction when it comes to relationships. So it's kind of like we're just letting the relationship stuff happen, and then we're just letting relationship woundedness stuff happen, or we're just allowing difficult, painful things to happen, and we're experiencing them because we're not being intentional, we're not being directional, we're just letting things happen. Like we're just letting relationship experiences happen. We're not like saying this is what I want, this is what I need, these are my expectations, this is my timeline, and we're not objectively taking a look at the person and being like, "Wait a minute, logically, realistically, is this actually make sense? Can I even partner with this person? Do they have the personality characteristics? Do they have the resources? Do they have the stability? Do they have the sense of self, right? That I actually want to that I actually want to partner with, or that would actually be best for me, right? So for a lot of water, and this doesn't have to be about love. This could also be about business connections and business relationships. This can also be about work relationships. This could also be about your relationship with the boss. So there's a lot of this stuff of kind of like being like a passive bystander in your relationships and not having agency or even like giving away your power or giving away your agency in relationships. And then you get all hurt and you're all sad and you're all wounded about it at the end. But baby, you didn't do nothing or say nothing along the way. You allowed it to get there by just being quiet, letting things happen, not really asserting yourself, not really calling them out, not really letting the other person know this is the way I want the relationship to go. This is how it's going to be. And if it's not going to be like this, let's talk about it. Let's work through it. Let's meet halfway. Let's compromise. Let's mediate, whatever. But it's like really foregoing our agency and our authority in relationships. And this is like something that the water signs and the earth signs, this full moon in Libra is going to show you where you abandon yourself, where you abandon your power, where you abandon your emotional needs, where you abandon your truth, where you abandoned your intuition in the realm of relationships. You weren't listening to your gut, okay? You weren't listening to what your heart was telling you, okay? You totally rejected and abandoned yourself because you wanted to hold on to that person. You wanted to believe that no, it's like water signs and earth signs. Spirit is saying, like, don't be hard on yourself. You know what I mean? Give yourself grace because you are a sweet, kind, compassionate individual. But also, relationships, they need direction, they need focus, they need intention, they need rules, they need boundaries, they need structure, they need expectation, they need a goal. There's a lot more to relationships than we think. They need grace, yes, forgiveness, compassion, right? Relationships require work. They require time. We're it's so funny because so many people they want love, they want love, they want love so badly. And then once it shows up, they don't know how to keep it or sustain it, and they're not willing to do the work to hold on to it. It's like we're good at the first day of the relationship, we're good at the first 3 months of a relationship, we're good at the first 6 months of a relationship. But once the 9 month year mark comes around, once the 2, 3 year mark comes around, it's not, it's all that glitter and glamour and all that honeymoon energy fades. And then the real work comes in. And the real work comes in. We, this generation gives up too quickly on love, is what I'm hearing. Gives up too quickly, just throws in the towel so fast, doesn't want to work hard, doesn't want, like there's these other virtues when it comes to relationships: discipline, loyalty, truth, sacrifice, abstinence, right? Like I'm gonna abstain from looking and having sex with other people because I'm loyal to you. There's these other relational virtues that people have totally forgot about and totally abandoned because we have this idea that love is this thing that should always be giving to us, and it should always be sexual, and it should always be fun, and it should always be romantic and easy. But baby, no, that's not the truth. That's not the truth. Relationships take a lot of work, especially holding on to them and sustaining them. And that's what this full moon in Libra is going to be showing a lot of people, that their relationship needs work to uphold, to sustain, to keep balance. It's natural for relationships and for things to go out of balance or to go off kilter, right? Just and you can just observe the everyday world and you'll see this truth. Things naturally descend into chaos. Naturally. And I want you to observe this truth with your house and with your like your home and things in your home. If you don't work to keep your house clean and organized and structured, your house will absolutely descend into chaos. And it just happens. You don't have to do nothing. You could just literally watch and observe from one day to the next. You don't pick up this, you don't clean this, you don't. Your house will descend into chaos. You will naturally start to, all of a sudden, there's wires everywhere, and there's shit over here, there's clothes over here. It's the way that it's the natural order of things for things to get disheveled and disordered. Therefore, keeping things organized, structured, clean, balanced, keeping things harmonized requires work, requires sacrifice, requires energy. It's the natural predisposition of things for them to descend into chaos. And it's the same with our relationships. All relationships will descend into chaos unless there is work that is done to uphold them, to uphold the relationship, to keep it into balance, to keep it fair, to keep it honest, to keep it truthful, to keep it grounded, to keep it stable, to keep it committed, to keep it loyal. Like the work it's required. Work is required. It's not easy. So before you start asking the divine and spirit for a relationship, really consider if you're ready for that level of commitment, because have you even committed to yourself in that way, right? It's crazy. There's a lot of people that really drop the ball on some amazing partners because they want love, but they don't want a relationship. They want a relationship, but they don't even realize that they're not ready to put in the work to sustain a relationship. Because a relationship is going to require you to make some personal sacrifices And it is. You are going to have to abandon some part of yourself. You're going to have to make some kind of sacrifice to have the relationship. You're going to have to. There's going to be something in your life that you are going to be able to no longer do once you're in a relationship. It could be various things. It could be multiple things. It could be one thing. But there's going to be boundaries and rules and limitations that you are going to have to follow in order to sustain and uphold that relationship. That's the truth. And a lot of us, we want love and connection, but we're not willing to do the work, and we're not willing to be disciplined and make the sacrifices in order to hold on to the relationship and to sustain the connection, right? I just want you to think about that because a lot of you want love, but you're not ready for it. You're not ready for it. You don't have that level of truth. You don't have that level of loyalty. You don't understand devotion. You don't have discipline. Relationships require discipline. If you're like let's say you're dating, right? You're going out and you notice someone lacks discipline, they don't have any self-control, don't date them. Don't date them. Do not date someone that lacks self-discipline. I hate to say this, but it's the truth. Because let me tell you, when it comes to the rules of the relationship, they're not going to be able to follow them. All of a sudden, you're fighting and arguing over the boundaries of the rules in the relationship. I'm telling you, you got to be mindful of these things, my loves. You got to be mindful of these things, you know? So for water signs and earth signs, oh my God, look at that cute little baby. Oh, he's so cute. He's got a little helmet on. Look at how cute he is. You guys want to see a cute little baby? Look at him. Uh, look at him. Jupiter and Cancer. You guys see him out there? You guys see him? Look at the cute little baby. The cute little, the cute little baby. Jupiter and Cancer. Where's Jupiter at right now? I know that when I started doing the live, Jupiter was on the rising. Lack of discipline or lack of communication or lack of understanding equals lack of self-love. Yeah. Uh-huh. Very true. Some people can't love us because they don't love themselves. You can't ask someone to love you who doesn't love themselves. They don't know how. If someone doesn't know how to love themselves or doesn't really love themselves, it doesn't have to be like this deep self-love, right? But it's like if they don't love themselves, if they don't value themselves, if they don't appreciate themselves, if they don't see their own worth in the lives of others, then guess what? They're going to have a hard time seeing your worth. They're going to have a hard time valuing you or appreciating you. Or God forbid that you value yourself and you're a high value person because they're going to feel intimidated by that or they're going to feel less than you. So what are they going to do? They're going to do a lot of weird manipulative shit possibly to undermine your worth or undermine your value to bring you to their level because that's how they feel about themselves, right? So they're not going to give you compliments, they're not going to give you accolades, they're not going to celebrate you when you win because why? They already feel deep down inside that you're more worthy or more valuable than them. And so if they go ahead and they praise you and admire you and value and appreciate you, right? That's going to create more of a divide between their own lack of worthiness and your inherent worthiness. So what do? They want to tear you. This is why a lot of people that have low sense of self-worth or self-esteem, they tear down their partners. They don't celebrate or value their partners. They compete with their partners. They don't want their partner to be better than them, right? Or to be doing better than them because they have an inferiority complex or because they don't really value themselves or they have a low sense of self-worth. And God forbid you're with anybody that does that, right? Who's not able to celebrate your wins, who gets envious or jealous at your success, or who doesn't really appreciate you or value you because they don't appreciate you or appreciate or value themselves, or they're not able to love you properly because they don't love themselves properly, right? Some people got some really, really messed up versions of love, or they conceptualize love in some very weird ways. Some people think control is love. Some people think being mean to others is love. I literally had a man one time tell me, he told me hatred was love. He said, love is hate and hate is love. And I'm like, maybe, but nah. You crazy man. No, no, no. That is, I do not agree with that, okay? And you know what I realized? I realized that he hates himself. I realized that he said that because he hates himself and he's a hateful person. And I can't be with anybody that is hateful or who uses that word because I am a being of love. I am the embodiment of love. I have so much love in my life, in my heart, and in my spirit. I can't be with anybody hateful. Oh, hell to the no. Oh, no, no, no. And you're gonna end up hating me, and I'm gonna end up hating you. And I'm not a hateful person, but because he's a hateful person, he's a hateful energy. He's gonna bring out the energy of hate within me, and all of a sudden one day I look at him, I'm like, I hate you, and I'm not a hateful person, but because you embody the energy of hate, it's so easy for me to hate you, even though that's not me, that's not my energy. You're just bringing that energy out of me because you're a hateful person, right? So, I don't affiliate with this person anymore. I keep my distance. I haven't seen this person in a few years now. Because I was feeling that energy of like, I don't like this person. They were giving me that energy of hate, and that I cannot be around that. No, toxic. So, yes, my loves, with this full moon in Libra, be mindful of the people that you're connecting to and that you're surrounding yourself with. And, really understand that the majority of things that we experience in our relationships are projections. And the majority of things that you deal with others actually have nothing to do with you. Because if you really pay attention, if you really start looking at people's patterns and the way they experience relationships, it's that they have patterns and they do the same thing over and over and over again with people. You know, it's like people, they really are more predictable than you think, and people really behave consistently in relationships with others, you know? So all you have to do is observe and study the way someone treats other people to learn and to know how they're going to treat you. Because if they've done it to someone else, they're probably going to do it to you as well. And that's one thing I always want you guys to remember. It's like we always think that we're the exception. We always think, oh, they're not going to do that to me. They would never. They could never. And then maybe there you are, victim number 23 on their list. Victim number 24, there you are. I thought they would never do this to me. And there you are, victim number 26, you know. Yeah, and then you have to show up at the court on the court date. You got to show up, you got to pick them out, you know. What do when you do that at a you got to pick you got to pick the criminal out at like the what do they call that? What's that thing? When you have to go, like, let's say you're like an eyewitness or something, and then you have to like pick out the criminal out of like a line, like something like that. There you are at the police station having to go ahead and pick out the criminal on the line, right? And you're with the rest of the victims right there. He was the one. It was him. You're on a lineup. Yeah, there you are, a lineup. Exactly. You are at the police station having to pick him out of a lineup with the rest of the victims. Okay. It was him, Your Honor. It was him. I recognize those hands. Okay. Just another victim on the list, right? Just another victim on the list. Okay. And you thought you were different. I was different. He told me I was special. He told me I was special. Yeah, especially a victim. That's what. Anyways, okay, so let's keep going with the astrology. Oh, I'm having a little fun today. Oof. Oh, my back, y'all. Oh, I don't think this cold weather is good for my back. I need to get into sunny weather. All right, let's go over the moon because the only other thing is Venus going to Taurus this week. Venus and Taurus is going to be really good for our money and our love lives. I think Venus and Taurus can be very positive and beneficial, especially for water signs and earth signs. We may see some people, I don't know, it really depends. I don't know. The work and job energy is still really weird with Mercury. You are special, just like everyone else. Yeah. Um, I'm looking at Mercury and Mars in the sixth house, North Node Mercury Mars in the sixth house from the full moon, and I don't know. There's still up and down experiences with like work and jobs and stuff. I think with the South Node in Virgo, we're still seeing people having a hard time getting jobs, and we're still seeing layoffs and stuff. I'm not really expecting to see a lot of movement around like work and money and stuff. Oh, actually, no, my bad. Cancel clear. Well, Mercury's ingress into Aries is going to be really good for like work and business for sure. Um, but the other thing that's very important this week, which actually goes exact tomorrow on April 2nd, and this is something I've been talking about for the last few weeks. This is actually a transit that I've been talking about for the last 2 weeks because it's something that I saw back in the middle of March that I've been really looking forward to is the Mercury Jupiter trine. So we have Mercury at 14 Pisces and we have Jupiter at 15 Cancer. And Mercury is going to be forming this beautiful trine, which is it's a 120-degree relationship with Jupiter. So Mercury is the planet of business. He's the merchant. He's the planet of communication. He's a planet has a lot to do with our daily activity. He rules over jobs and work and employees, and he rules over the processing of information or the exchange of information. So, like letters, phone calls, emails, things like this. Um, and Jupiter is a planet of opportunity, expansion, growth, luck, joy, right? Jupiter's in his exalted state in the sign of Cancer. He also rules over Pisces, where Mercury is at. So Jupiter is in a very strong position in relationship to Mercury. If we actually put Pisces on the rising, we get Jupiter in the fifth house. So this is about luck and joy and fun, especially when it comes to like children and investments and things like this. Um, so tomorrow, April 2nd, Mercury goes to 15 Pisces and Mercury and Jupiter make their trine. Okay. So this trine between Mercury and Jupiter, we're going to be feeling it like throughout the week. It goes exact on April. Why am I saying today's the 30th? Okay, it's on Thursday. Why am I saying tomorrow? Oh my goodness. Today is Monday the 30th. So we're looking at Thursday, April 2nd. So not tomorrow, 3 days from now. Okay, we have Mercury and Jupiter trine. It's in between Pisces and Cancer. So if you want to take a look at where this beautiful new lucky thing can show up in your life, or where Mercury and Jupiter could come together to bring some kind of blessing or grace, or to bring some kind of healing or forgiveness, you want to take a look at your Pisces and your Cancer houses, because that's the areas of your life that you can see it at. People, places, things, or matters pertaining to those houses. This is going to be very beneficial for water signs and earth signs specifically. This can be more of an emotional or spiritual thing for fire signs and air signs. Or this can be for air signs, this can be about money and finances. So for Libra, Aquarius, Gemini, rising specifically, could be Sun Moon. This Jupiter Mercury trine that's happening on Thursday, April 2nd, this could be about money and resources for you guys. Okay. Because this is activating houses 2, 6, and 10 for Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Where for earth signs, this is going to be more about their social life. So Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, this Jupiter Mercury trine could be more about coming into alignment with a lover or a friend. This can be, a new friend that you make, some good news that happens for a spouse. Um, yeah, let's say you have a business partner, you're married, your spouse can get a promotion or they can have like a really good win or something good could happen in their life. This could also be some really cool stuff that happens for a friend or that happens with your eldest sibling or even with like aunts, uncles, and siblings because the third house influence, right? So for Earth signs, this Jupiter Mercury trine is happening in houses 11, 7, and 3. So this can be really, really good for your social life, for your love life. This Mercury Jupiter trine can be about meeting someone new, getting engaged, something like this during this full moon in Libra. That's another thing. Full moon in Libra is not just about um, the releasing or clearing out of relationships, but it's also about the culmination of relationships and the consolidation of connections. So, this full moon in Libra, I'm will not be surprised if over the next 2 weeks we're gonna be seeing a lot of people getting engaged, or even some like marriage. Full moon in Libra is such a good full moon to get married on, especially when Venus is in a good place. Um, I don't know about this particular full moon. No, I don't know. It's an eighth house Venus full moon. So I don't know. People that are getting married or engaged, or not engaged, but people that are getting married at this time, um, there's probably was in the relationship before the marriage some kind of infidelity or something, some kind of trust issues, or even like there's money issues. So people that are getting married during this full moon cycle, they have a history in the relationship of either infidelity and mistrust, or, well, a few things. It's either infidelity and mistrust, it's either, or unbalanced power dynamics, or money issues. Um, the money problems in the relationship where one person, there's some kind of imbalance, with money and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, I would wait on getting married. I wouldn't get married on this full moon in particular. But, we're probably going to see, I'm telling you right now, this weekend, going to next weekend, we're going to see some giant weddings. There's probably going to be a big celebrity wedding that we're all going to be invited to. Like, there's going to be pictures of a big celebrity wedding. And it's going to be this celebrity probably getting married at the beach or on a lake or near a body of water in some type of way. Okay. Like how we had the whole like someone got married in Venice. Was that George Bezos? Yeah, I think didn't Bezos get married in Venice? Yeah, Bezos married in Venice. Yeah, he did. Yeah. June 26th to 28th. Yeah. That's right. It's like right when Jupiter went into Cancer. Bezos got married in Venice, which is, yeah, body water. So we might see something like that again, with this full moon in Libra. Some big weddings and celebrations, and we're gonna see it with like a big celebrity wedding that turned out to be a disaster. Yeah. If you guys ever have an opportunity to go to Venice, go. I got to tell you right now, as a spiritual person, my two most favorite places I went to when I was in Italy when I went to Italy at the end of 2024 was Venice and Pompeii. Those the energy of those two places, Venice and Pompeii in Italy, dude, you gotta go. Like the energy in the air, like I can't explain it. It's mystical. Like Pompeii is a little bit more intense. It's a little bit more like there's an energy of like crisis and tragedy. It's very, very plutonic. Like when you go, I don't know if you guys have ever visited like Yellowstone National Park. It also has Pluto energy. Yellowstone National Park has strong Pluto energy, but then Pompeii has Pluto energy. Anywhere near a volcano is very strong Pluto energy. Um, it's very intense, and you can like there, I don't know, you can feel the energy of like tragedy and crisis and terror in the air when you go to Pompeii. But Venice is, I don't know, I think mermaids lived there in the past. I think Venice has a sacred spirit. It was like built on like a sacred spiritual site. I think Venice has it's like a vortex. It's like an energetic vortex there that is deeply, deeply spiritual. and very connected to the other side. I really, yeah, Hawaii has Pluto energy. Yeah, Hawaii has Pluto energy. Yeah, any place that has volcanoes is Pluto energy. Is Pluto energy. The down that I got when I was in Venice was that mermaids lived there at one point, or there was like a either like a mermaid society or an alien society that lived there before, and the energy, there's like residual energy in the water and there's residual energy in the air of like these very powerful spiritual people that were connected to spirits or connected to the other side that resided in that area, you know. You got to go though. Venice is very, very magical. It's very, very magical. There's something just like so magical and so quiet. I don't know. It's crazy. You guys got to go. Someone said there's dolphins and sharks in the water. Okay. So for water signs, someone asked about the full moon in Libra for water signs. Uh, this is gonna be a little bit of a challenging. Yeah, Atlantean city, possibly. Yes, definitely. Definitely Atlantis energy there. For sure. For sure. Um, for water signs, the full moon in Libra is gonna be a little rough. It's gonna have them taking a look at their health and their wellness and probably being in a little bit of solitude or isolation, maybe a little bit, because the houses 4, 8, and 12 are activated. So, you know, for water signs, this full moon could be about you preparing to make a change with your home or your living situation, or you taking a look at what's going on at home, like cleaning up the home, things like this, getting your laundry done, throwing out old things. I think this is a really, really good full moon for water signs, especially if your rising, your sun, your moon is there, to kind of throw shit away, clear shit up, like make some space for new energy in your life. Like throw away old clothes, get rid of old furniture, any like old objects that you have emotional attachments to that aren't really good for you. Like throw that shit out, let that shit go. Have a yard sale, whatever. Get rid of stuff, clear stuff out, get rid of stuff with this full moon in Libra. Um, Also, if there's been any unhealthy habits and stuff like this, um, you got to, work on that water signs, unhealthy habits and behaviors. You know, being more optimistic and positive, not living so much in your head. This full moon in Libra is going to have you kind of work on some inner things and take a look at some things, your mental health, especially. Water signs, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. It's the fourth, eighth, 12th house activation. I mean, what do you want from me? Okay. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You got to make the best of it. Do the best that you can. Okay. um, but I also think water signs, because of the Sun Mars energy in houses 2, 6, and 10. Yeah, 2, 6, and 10. Sorry. I don't know why I did that face for. That was like a little. I have no idea why I did that face. That was really funny. But because of the fire sign energy in houses 2, 6, and 10, the sun is asking water signs to be a little bit more grounded and be a little bit more stable and to like focus on like the everyday practical matters, like doing your dishes, going to the gym, eating in a timely manner, you know, waking up on time, going to bed on time, taking a shower, not skipping out on meals, making sure you're taking your supplements, drinking your water. It's like there's a lot of like needing to align with Virgo energy um, in a healthy way, you know? Unhealthy Virgo energy is being so overwhelmed with tasks that you don't do anything, paralysis analysis, being overly stressed out or anxious or perfectionistic to the point of doing nothing. Okay, that's unhealthy Virgo energy. OCDness, trying to control everything because there's a deep sense and fear of a lack of control happening psychologically or emotionally. So all of a sudden, we got to control the environment, we got to control our kids, and we got to control our pets, and we got to control this. And So it's like moving away from control as a coping mechanism, for anxiety. Control is not a good way to cope with your anxiety. Okay? Paranoia and perfectionism is not a good way to cope with your fear. These are not healthy, these are not good. Okay? You go ahead and you do the thing. Come up with a plan of attack, you come up with a schedule, you come up with a little bit of a routine, and you do it day by day, and you slowly get there. Okay? This is something that the water signs need to learn right now. Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. You know, this full moon in Libra and the task of the sun for water signs is kind of taking a look at the foundations of their life and you need to get back to like the simple stuff. You know what? You know what, water signs? Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. Not everything is as deep and profound and emotionally intense or like emotionally like heavy as you think it is. Okay? Okay. So this is what it is. For water signs, there may be like particular individual events or things that they're going through in their life that are triggering a much larger, deeper karmic kind of like woundedness or lesson. So the event or the experience of this one individual thing or this person or whatever can seem so large or seem so intense because it's actually the culmination of a much larger lifelong lesson or a much larger lifelong realization or a much larger lifelong turning point. So it's like this one individual experience or thing or moment is like the catalyst for a much larger moment of like transition and change and like learning and karmic releasing or karmic clearing of things. And that's why it feels so big, or that's why it hurts so much, or that's why it feels so profound, or why it feels so deep or so overwhelming. But it's actually because we're putting the finishing touches on a larger life chapter or a larger life lesson, or there's like this bigger thing that's coming to completion. Okay, is what Spirit is telling me. So don't make mountains out of molehills, is what Spirit is saying, water signs. Don't make things bigger than they actually are, and don't let things hold power over you in a way to where you're making it so big and you're giving it so much power over you that it's blocking you or holding you back or taking away your own power, your own agency. Okay. So earth signs, oh wait, who's the last ones? I did water. I talked about earth signs. Who did I do already? Who did I do already? I did water signs, air signs, fire signs. Okay, earth signs are the last ones. Okay. Okay. I didn't do earth signs. So earth signs, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. This full moon in Libra is activating your money houses. So what's really interesting about earth signs, right? Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo is the money career houses, the money career work houses for earth signs, especially like for earth sign rising, is your houses 2, 6, and 10 for you are ruled by air signs. So for earth sign risings especially, a lot of the ways that you make money have a lot to do with people and have a lot to do with negotiations or like working with others and like interacting with others, you know, connecting with groups, connecting with community, doing work online, doing advertising, marketing, promotion, writing books, teaching, lecturing, counseling, therapy work, one on one connection, one on one relationship building. Earth signs are really good at this. And we see earth signs, even though they may have a very inactive social life, their social life actually is experienced mostly in their work and their career life. So this is why you'll always see Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. They make friends at work. They become really close with their boss. They turn their work and their job and their place of employment into their social life. Like their social life and their work life tends to like blend really close together, or tends to blend together for Earth sign rising specifically. And it's because they have air signs occupying houses 2, 6, and 10. So with that being said, with this full moon in Libra happening in houses 2, 6, and 10 for Earth signs, this full moon in Libra could also be about new money making opportunities, new income flows, but there could also be some drama or some crisis, especially socially, when it comes to work and money and stuff like this, or even like with the boss. So just be very mindful, Earth sign rising specifically, around what this full moon in Libra shows you. This full moon in Libra can literally show you that you're not getting paid what you're worth, or can make you feel like you're getting taken advantage of at work, or it can, bring a moment of tension or conflict with a coworker, with the boss, or with the leader, because something's got to give or something's got to change. There could also be, this could be really beneficial though. Venus is in Taurus for Earth sign. So, Venus could also, Earth sign rising especially, can give you a promotion, with this full moon. Venus may have a little gift for you with this full moon, you know, because Venus is either in houses 1, 5, or 9. So this is, I think, could be a really positive full moon for Earth signs specifically, Earth sign rising specifically. Okay. Your sun or your moon too, the sun, so like the sun is the planet that's connected to our career and our public image. So if you ever want, if like let's say someone's doing a reading for Virgos, right? Like for instance, I'm doing a reading for Earth signs, right? And you don't have a Virgo, right? You don't have like an Earth sign rising, but you have Earth sign sun. Let's say you have like the sun in Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus. You want to apply what I'm telling you to your sun energy, which is your public image, your career life, your father, your boss, your work life, stuff like that. Where if you have a moon in an Earth sign, and you hear me talking about this in relation to your moon, you want to relate this to your private life, your home life, your family life, your relationship with your mother, relationship with your family, and that's where you can see it show up. Okay. Um, Astrology shows up differently based off the planet that gets activated. You know, when our sun gets activated, this is about being in the limelight. This is about us as an individual. This is about a moment of recognition, celebration. This pertains to work, career, how we're showing up in the world. Where the moon is about family, home, intimate relationships, one on one connections, our private life, right? So you can always, if you know what planet you have in that sign, you can always relate a reading that someone gives you for Virgos or whatever to the planet that you have in that sign, because that's where you're going to experience it. Um, so yes, all right. Uh, but yeah, so what was I talking about? I was talking about the full moon. Oh, the whole reason why I was doing this was because I was talking about the Mercury Jupiter trine. I was like, wait a minute, how did we get here? It was the Mercury Jupiter trine that I was talking about. So I was talking about how for Earth signs, this is going to show up in their social life. The Mercury Jupiter trine that's happening on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday the 2nd. And we're going to see it moving forward, some kind of luck, blessing, some kind of opportunity showing up for people with their Cancer and their Pisces house. So this is going to definitely show up for Earth signs. This will be their social life, you know. This can be more of like a psychological or an emotional thing, like I was saying for fire signs and air signs. We might not actually see any physical activity or anything like this. Another thing that we're going to be seeing with this full moon in Libra, with Jupiter being aspected, is a lot of people getting ready to move or preparing to move and relocate over the next 3 or 4 months. It's going to be a big theme, especially going into July. So April, May, June, July, these next 4 months, we're gonna see a lot of people shuffling their life around, pivoting their life. I'm moving over here. I'm changing careers. I'm gonna break up with this person. I'm getting a divorce. I'm getting married. We're gonna see a lot of that movement, a lot of activity, a lot of people making big decisions, making big moves in their life over the next 4 months. So lean in, lean in. Okay. Okay, here we are. It's 2 o'clock. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Venus is gonna be in Taurus. Let's see how long Venus is transiting Taurus. Um, March 30th until April 24th. So we want to really enjoy Venus going through the sign of Taurus from today until the 24th. Very, very awesome Venus transit. Venus in her rulership. We love Venus and Taurus. Luxury, food, health, wellness, spending the good money, eating good, feeling good, looking good, smelling good, right? Love Venus and her rulership. Any children that are born this week, they're going to be very, very sweet, very, very soft. Their dad is probably going to be bossy a little bit. Okay. Dad is going to be a little authoritative. But dad's a moneymaker. That's the beautiful thing. Okay. Child born this week. Dad's a moneymaker. Very abundant household. More than likely going to live in a big house in their life. Very possible that when the child comes a year from now, or if the child is born, or even if the child is conceived this week, that the parents will be buying a house in the next 9 months to a year. Um, Very, very close relationship with the mother, spiritual relationship with the mother, profound relationship with the mother. More than likely, if a child is born this week, they are going to be growing up around all their family. They have a huge family around them. Very close relationship with the grandmother or the grandfather, the grandmother, the grandfather. Um, One a grandparent is going to be very, very close with them. Is going to be very involved in their life. Um, Dad might have an anger problem. There could be a possibility of substance abuse issues that run in the family for children that are born this week. But mom is going to be beautiful and gorgeous, and the child is going to be very, very close to their mother. Okay. Mom does look like a businesswoman. So children born this week, specifically around the full moon. Mom is a businesswoman, and dad, ooh, I don't know. Dad can have anger problems. He could be a narc. So, if someone tells you, "Oh, I'm getting married this week. Oh, I just had a baby on Thursday, Friday," you take a look at him and be like, "Okay, tell me about your husband. Tell me about your baby daddy. I want to know about that man." Because he's probably not going to be in her life anymore, or he's probably a little toxic, a little controlling, a little traditional. Or he's very hardworking and he's successful and he makes good money. Okay. But if someone tells you, "Oh yeah, I had a baby this week," give them a little bit of a side eye. Be like, "Ooh, well, But yeah, so Venus and Taurus, we love that. I do think that this week is gonna be a little rough, my loves. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this week's gonna be a little rough. Um, Even with the full moon, because we just have so much Saturn energy. We have so much Mars energy in the air. We have a lot of Mars energy. And we just need to be very calm and patient with people. People are definitely feeling very argumentative or very combative or irritable. People are feeling very irritated. So we just need to be mindful of this energy in the air. People wanting to argue or go to war, or people disagreeing when it comes to beliefs and stuff like this. Um, we're going to definitely see it leading up to the full moon. Libra is also the sign of justice, the sign of fairness, and it has a lot to do with social justice. Libra is other than Gemini, I'm sorry, Gemini, that's not meant to say. Other than Aquarius, Libra is the other sign of social justice, you know? So it's really interesting because the signs have a lot in common in terms of the triplicity. Like, you know, the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, right? Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And what's interesting to me is how within the triplicity, certain signs have a certain karmic connection to each other, or have a lot in common in relation to like the third sign. So, for instance, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, right? Gemini is not really a social justice oriented sign, right? Unless there's other modifications. But Libra and Aquarius, what Libra and Aquarius have in common is the social justice aspect to their like energy. Like they're about equality, they're about fairness, they're about injustice. Like both of these signs, Libra and Aquarius, you know, they are going to be out in the streets. You know, they're going to be out in the streets fighting. They're going to be out in the streets, you know, organizing. You know, they're going to be out in the streets, you know, defying authority and things like this. This is definitely a Libra, the connection between Libra and Aquarius. So this full moon in Libra, you know, be mindful of be mindful of this energy of like social justice and equality, and people wanting to like walk out of like their job and walk out of their workplace, and you know, stuff like this, stuff like that, you know. So just be mindful of that energy because it's definitely going to be in the air, and people kind of like standing up to leaders, standing up to toxic bosses, standing up to like narcissistic leaders and stuff like this. We have Saturn at 5 degrees, you know, so Saturn's at a Leo degree, and this full moon, and I'll come back on, maybe I'll do like a full moon in Libra live on Wednesday or something. I don't know, we'll see. Um, this full moon in Libra is going to be exposing a lot of toxic leadership, a lot of toxic authority figures, or leaders that are kind of like abusive, you know, toxic, abusive, angry, mean, judgmental, no morals, no ethics, despots, despotic leaders, leaders who are intolerant, judgmental, bad morals. This full moon in Libra is going to be exposing a lot of those type of leaders, or we're going to see some movement and activity with those leaders where they're going to be challenged. You know, we're going to see a lot of kind of these leaders being challenged with this full moon cycle, you know? So something to look forward to. Oh, Oh, all right, my loves. I think that's it. Someone said no Libra placements here, but I'm a Gemini and I'm all about justice and helping marginalized people. Okay, well, there could be other things in your chart that indicate that, you know. Charts are very, very complex. They're very, very intricate, you know. That's why it's hard sometimes to make these like generalized statements when it comes to astrology because our charts are very unique and very personal, and no two Geminis are alike and no two Virgos are alike. And there are certain things in our charts that modify the expressions of our signs. You know, there are certain things that modify the expressions of our signs, where even though you can be a Gemini stellium, you may have a very strong influence of Uranus. You may have a strong influence of Saturn in your chart. You may have a strong influence of Pluto in your chart. So it's you're not going to be a tried and true Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, whatever, because you have these other planets pulling at you, influencing you, and um, changing the way that your Gemini energy, your Pisces, your Virgo energy, whatever shows up, right? So this is why, you know, a lot of people, they don't identify with their sun sign, or they don't identify with their sun sign because the planetary ruler of their sun, or the house placement of their sun, or even another planet aspecting their sun is so much more important, is what they feel more than anything, you know? I was actually explaining to this to a client this morning, who is a Gemini, but they have Mercury, Venus, and Cancer, and they have a sixth house Sun, Moon, and Gemini. So they're not a Gemini. They're more like a Virgo. And I was explaining to them what the sun and the moon in the sixth house is about, like perfectionism and wanting to, and being and like workaholism and being hyper productive, um, and being OCD, and also kind of, blurred boundaries with work and also health stuff, where the sun and the moon in the sixth house becomes more of a Virgo energy because the sixth house is the house of Virgo. It has a lot to do with Virgo significations, right? Work, jobs, productivity, perfectionism, And when I was mentioning these qualities and talking about that sixth house sun moon, they're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And they're like, that's why I don't feel like a regular Gemini. Because a lot of Geminis I've met, um, they were saying a lot of the Geminis I've met have just seemed very unfocused and very scattered, and they were a Capricorn rising with the sun and moon in the sixth house, so they're not a regular. They're like control and rules and business and work and money, right? Capricorn rising, sixth house, sun, moon, and Gemini. So this is like pretty much they're a Capricorn rising with a Virgo sun moon, right? So it's different. The energy, they're not a regular. They're really organized. They're really punctual. They're really structured, right? They have rules. They get things done in a timely fashion. They're not very patient with people, Capricorn rising. So this is why it's like you can't just be like, oh, this person's a Gemini sun or Gemini moon. No, the house placement of the sun and the moon can actually have more of an impact and say more about the person than the placement of the sign of their sun or their moon, right? So the sun in the sixth house or the moon in the sixth house can say a lot more than the sun or the moon being in Gemini. You see what I'm saying? The house placement is so important. You know what I mean? Or someone had, let's say they were like in Aquarius, right? But they have the Sun Pluto in Aquarius together. They have Sun Pluto conjunction in Aquarius. Well, you're not dealing with a regular Aquarius. Also, let's say that Aquarius Sun person, they have Saturn, the ruler of their sun in Aquarius. They have Saturn in Scorpio with the Sun Pluto conjunct in Aquarius. Yes, they're in Aquarius, but they're a Scorpio. That's a Scorpio Aquarius. Sun Pluto conjunction, that's already a Scorpio signature. And then the ruler of their sun in Aquarius is Saturn in Scorpio. Therefore, guess what? They're going to feel more like a Scorpio. They're going to show up more like a Scorpio. And they're not going to really identify many times as an Aquarius. They're going to feel more like a Scorpio, right? And so you'll talk to people that have certain signatures like this in their chart, and you're like, oh yeah, they're Sun and Aquarius. But then if you start to explain to them, the Sun Pluto conjunction and Saturn and Scorpio and what that means, they're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Wow, like this is why my life has gone through such deep upheavals. This is why I feel so deep, right? Because we're thinking, oh yeah, Sun and Aquarius, oh, you're not emotional, right? Like an everyday astrologer or a astrologer who's not practiced will, give you a reading and be like, oh, Sun in Aquarius, you're not very emotional. You're very emotionally detached. When actually, someone who has Sun Pluto conjunction in Aquarius, with Saturn in Scorpio ruling over it, is deeply emotional. They feel profoundly, right? And they have a lot of trauma and they remember all their emotional trauma primarily related to what person in their life? Because it's the sun, the father. So if I see someone has some Pluto conjunction in Aquarius ruled by Saturn and Scorpio, and I know that Scorpio is 10 houses away from the Sun Pluto, right away, the first thing I'm going to ask this person is, what was your relationship with your father like? Did your father pass away in your life? Did you go through multiple cathartic or transformative experiences with your father? Was your dad ever in jail? Was your dad a criminal? Was your dad, like what happened? Did he have any health crisis stuff where you all of a sudden, right? Because that's what the Sun Pluto conjunction ruled by Saturn and Scorpio is going to tell us. There's some kind of trauma around the father, and there's some kind of deep emotional, um, mental, sometimes spiritual thing that they've gone through with the relationship of the father, right? And also, that person's going to probably have really strong addictive tendencies. Some Pluto together, ruled by Saturn and Scorpio. They're private, they're secretive, They're going to have really intense addictions, but they're also going to be very charismatic, very powerful. It's another thing that the sun Pluto does. When the Pluto modifies the energy of the sun, and when Pluto is on someone's sun, I have this by the way. They're very, very charismatic. They're very, very magnetic. People cannot take their eyes off of them, right? Pluto is a very powerful energy. Pluto moves the energy of the masses. And you'll see this with people that are very, very influential, very powerful, or even celebrities. Like, I really do think that, I think that, like, record labels and stuff like this. Hey, my love, how are you? I think record labels and stuff, I think they have astrologers, and I think they look at people's charts and they look for certain signatures. Like I believe this. I firmly believe this because to me, it's really interesting the people that they choose to give albums to and to do album deals with, and the people that they choose to kind of like make popular and make famous. Because whenever I look at these celebrity charts, they have signatures in their chart that literally indicate people being massively obsessed with them, or like people being like massively like mass fame, you know? And Pluto, I always, whenever you guys think of Pluto, I want you guys to think of Bieber fever. Pluto moves the masses in a way where people become kind of like obsessed, and they like lose their shit, and they like, totally get wrapped into this person's energy. And and it's the same energy of like a cult. Like when people are cult leaders, um, you'll see a lot of cult leaders have Pluto really strongly influenced in their chart because Pluto people, they carry such power and such magnetism and such charisma that they're able to literally transform and change people's reality. And they're able to get people to subscribe to a total different version of like reality. I want you to think about this. Pluto is Hades, right? Pluto is the lord of the underworld. And so I want you guys to think of like Pluto people, what they do is they bring their collective, their community to the underworld in a way. And they bring people together in a way that's very private or very like exclusive or very much like this is us. This is our little cult, you know? And it's kind of like Hades bringing people to the underworld, and then him being like, okay, this is our community now. This is our world. I'm bringing you down here into my realm with me. And we're creating this realm together. And that's kind of like how cults work, right? A cult is like this really charismatic leader who usually has this kind of philosophy or this belief or whatever, and then right he brings or they will bring people into their little cult community, and they'll create a whole separate community based on these morals and these ethics and these beliefs or whatever, right? And that's kind of like how cult works. And you'll see that with Pluto energy. Pluto does this. Pluto energy does this. Someone asked if Michael Jackson had a strong Pluto signature. Michael Jackson birth chart. Let's see. I believe he does. I think he has some Pluto conjunction. Yep, he does. Yep. He has it. Michael Jackson has the Sun conjunct Pluto in Virgo. So Michael Jackson has Sun at 6 degrees Virgo and Pluto at 2 degrees Virgo. So he has Sun Pluto conjunction. It's the same energy that I was talking about. You see? So if someone has some Pluto together, so going back to my original point, right? If someone has some Pluto together in Aquarius, ruled by Saturn and Scorpio, which is in the 10th house away, that's a father figure who's very, very powerful, who may be very wealthy or rich, or who's very charismatic, and they also have that energy, right? So someone that has some Pluto together in Aquarius or Saturn and Scorpio, this person's going to be very, very powerful, very influential. More than likely, they're going to have worked in very powerful positions. They're going to be their own business owner. They're going to have a problem with authority. That's another thing. Some Pluto people that have Pluto energy, they don't like following rules. They don't like listening to authority figures. right? If you think about Hades archetypally, right? Archetypally, Hades, he's always done his own thing. He never listens to Zeus. He never listens to the fates. He defies the fates. So Hades, if you go back to Greek mythology, the fates were like, this is what's gonna happen. And Hades was like, no, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna do shit my own way. So Pluto, he resists fate. He resists divine authority. Pluto rebels against God's authority. That's why Hades is down there in the underworld in the first place. Right? That's why he got cast down into the nether realms, right? Because why? He defied God's authority. He wasn't listening to divine authority, right? And so you'll see this with Pluto people. Pluto people, they do not listen. They do not follow the society's rules, and they don't like being subjected to other people's power. They are so powerful within themselves that they become their own power, right? Um, Pluto people like that. And Jupiter and Pluto conjunct the Scorpio. Ooh, that's a really intense one. I actually did a reading for someone who had something close. Oh, you must have been born 90 you must have been born in 93 or 94, Linda? 93, 94. You have Jupiter, Pluto conjunct Scorpio. Yeah, I think you were born 93, 94. That's when Jupiter was going through Scorpio around that time. I actually did a reading for someone that had that, you know? Um, that's about being in cults and stuff in past lives. Yeah, if you ever want to book a reading, we can go and I could talk to you a lot about that, your Jupiter Pluto conjunction, what that means and what you got from your father. Because we definitely get most of the time, not all the time, but we get our Jupiter from our father and from our grandparents. Um, but yeah, so that's why when we're looking at charts, it's like it's a lot more complex than we think. It's like it's not like a simple cookie cutter thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just gonna like if I'm looking at someone's sun, I'm not just gonna be like, oh yeah, you have a sun in Aries and that this is what that no. I'm gonna take a look at your Mars placement. I'm gonna take a look at the house that it's in. I'm gonna take a look at the planets aspecting it as well. Okay. To tell you a lot about what that sun in Aries and it means multiple things. That's another thing. You know, your placements mean multiple things, an infinite number of things, you know? It's not just like one thing. And this is one of the things that I also help people see and understand. It's like their sixth house moon is, their mom working all the time. The sixth house moon is their stomach issues. The sixth house moon is, their difficult relationship with their mother. Their sixth house moon is them being a latchkey kid, right? Their sixth house moon is their workaholism. Their sixth house moon is their career in nursing. Their sixth house moon is the challenges and struggles that they experience as a parent, as a mother. Their sixth house moon is, it's like all these things. And our placements are gifts that keep on giving. They keep showing up time and time again. They keep giving us more meaning. They keep manifesting over and over and over again, and they manifest as different things, you know? And it all depends on the timeline that you're in and the activation. And so this is why it's like you can't just like boil down your placement to like this is what this means. It's so much more complex and layered, and that's one of the things I'm really good at when I give people readings is like explaining to them the fullness of what this particular placement means. This placement is multiple things. Our placements are multiple things. It's not just like one thing, you know? And this is one of my biggest pet peeves with other astrologers. This is why I stay in my own lane. You guys don't really see me interacting with a lot of other astrologers because they don't like the way that I do astrology for some reason. I don't know. One of my biggest pet peeves is kind of like the way, how do I say this? The disconnect that astrologers have from everyday people and from everyday manifestations of the stars and the planets. So it's like you can give me a 3-page textbook explanation of what Mercury, Mars, or whatever in the sixth house is about. But can you actually show me and tell me how this placement or these placements manifest in my life? you can give me the theory, you can give me the energy, you can give me whatever, right? But can you actually practically show me and teach me how this shows up in my life, how what my personal relationship with this is, not just giving me a textbook cookie cutter answer explanation, right? And I think this is where a lot of astrologers drop the ball and where a lot of astrologers have a disconnect because they're so used to textbook astrology and they're so used to being students that they're not actually practicing. They're not actually astrological practitioners. What's going on, dude? How you doing? You okay? Just watch him. I don't want to throw up, you know. And this is why it's like I always say that I don't do astrology for other astrologers. I do astrology for people, for everyday people. And I do astrology in a very organic, natural way to where I do readings for everybody from all walks of life. I do readings for children. I do readings for adults. I do readings for the elderly. I do readings for people from all different cultures, from all different backgrounds. And I do a lot of readings for people from all different cultures and backgrounds. And this has given me a certain level of knowledge that's only come through experience. And it has nothing to do with being a student of astrology. It's actually being a practitioner of astrology. And a lot of what I've learned has come through my experience. This is why it's so interesting. It's like when I'm on threads and I'm sharing my information or my knowledge, I get so much like pushback and people are so triggered and so whatever. And it's because these are things that they don't know. Because these are whatever a lot of what I'm sharing is like stuff that I've learned by the practice of doing astrology, right? It's nothing I learned from like a book. It's like the only way I've learned these things is by actually doing astrology and by working with people, you know? And I think there's certain wisdom and knowledge that you can get from actually practicing what it is that you're doing that you can't get from like a textbook, you know, that you can't get from reading it or from going to school, you know. Like there's certain wisdom and knowledge or certain information that you're only going to get by the experience of practicing your art. And this could be for anything. This can be as an artist, as a creative, right, as an entrepreneur, whatever. It's like the way you're going to learn and grow is by actually doing it. And you're going to learn things in your experience that totally go against what you learned in school or what the books or whatever taught you, you know? Because it probably resonates and they're hating. Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny because like on threads, what I've noticed is like most of the people that follow me on threads and even on Instagram are just like common everyday people and not other astrologers, you know? Like there's a lot of like there's very it's so weird, but there's like this like clicky community of astrologers on threads and they're very like I call them the Astro Police because they're like super like textbook heavy and they're super like you know MLA format and you got to cite your sources but before you say anything you got to have like you got to like quote this and you got like what are we doing like I'm an astrological artist, okay? I'm a creative. I am not a textbook academic astrologer. I'm an intuitive, practical astrologer, and I'm very creative and fun with it. And the way I see astrology is an art form for me. It's not like a scientific practice. It's a divination practice. It's an art form which allows me to experience it as something that's very fun and very creative and very curious and very like color out the lines, right? And I think it's super important that no matter what profession you're in, you know, it depends on what type of person you are. I don't have Virgo placements, right? I don't have Gemini or Virgo placements. So, you know, I'm not a Mercury person in that way, where it's like, oh, I got to do things by the book and like do things very organized and very structured. That's not the way I was built. That's not the way I operate. That's not the way I relate to my work. I'm very like imagination and possibility and my own processes. And I'm very expansive and I'm very, you know, that's just the way I am. I'm an artist. I'm a creative, I'm an artist, you know? I like to color outside the lines. And that's how my approach to astrology is as well, you know? That doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. This is my process. This is my relationship that I've built with astrology, you know? And it's just so weird that, you know, there's people that want to tell us, oh, this is how you should be an artist. This is how you should be a musician. This is how you should be an astrologer. This is how you should be a tarot reader. This is how you should be a lawyer. This is how you should be a doctor. Oh, this is how you should be a therapist. Who the fuck are you to tell me how to do my craft, how to do my work? Right? I'm a Uranus person as well. So I have Saturn Uranus together in the 10th. I'm a very Uranian energy. So don't tell me what to do and don't tell me how to do my work. And what works for you, and what works for me. Okay? That's the way I am. That's the way I feel. That's what I believe, you know. I'm a Uranus person. I do it my own way. So, yeah, the reason why I'm sharing this is because to give you all the confidence in pursuing your own path. I think it's super important, especially this Aries season. Like, don't be afraid of being the outcast. Don't be afraid of being the pioneer. Don't be afraid of doing things your own way or doing things different, even if you're the only person in a room full of people that are like saying, oh, the sky is green. You're like, no, fuck that. The sky is red. You stick to your convictions, okay? And you hold your commitment. So, you know what? Fuck that. The sky is red. Everyone's like, the sky is green. No, it's not. It's red. Stick to that. Stick to your convictions, okay? And don't just like acquiesce and don't just fit in, you know, in order to go ahead and be accepted and stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like one of the most revered astrologers, his name is oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? I always do this. Hold on, let me give you guys his name. Hold on. I always forget his name. Hold on. That's my weak Mercury coming through. I'm gonna get you his name right now. Stephen Forrest. So Stephen Forrest, he's an esteemed astrologer and he's known for creating evolutionary astrology. So Stephen Forrest, his work, he is one of the founders of the School of Evolutionary Astrology, and his work is based off of his own interpretation and his own experience of astrology as an astrological practitioner. And he is a pioneer and he speaks about karma and stuff, you know, and he was the first one of the first through evolutionary astrology to start kind of blending some philosophies or some perspectives of like Eastern or Vedic astrology with like Western. So talking about karma, talking about the soul, talking about past lives, right? But in the beginning, when Stephen Forrest first started presenting his work, he got a lot of backlash to the point where he was ostracized from the astrological community and he wasn't invited. He wasn't invited to speak on like um a lot of the big astrological uh what do you call this? Panels. So this was like in the 70s and the 80s. And it got so bad to the point where he was getting in very open arguments and fights with other astrologers um, during the 70s and the 80s to the point where there would be like just total disagreements, right? So, flash forward to the last 10 years, and not only has evolutionary astrology taken off as its own separate practice, but now he's being respected and he's being revered, okay, for his work and his contributions to evolutionary astrology. And he has made amends with a lot of the people, and he goes to conferences and he goes to panels, and now he's been welcomed into the astrological community, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because I remember looking at his chart like 2 years ago, and he has a 10th house Saturn. Yeah, he has Saturn in Virgo, yeah, on the MC. He has Saturn in Virgo on the MC, and he's a Sun Jupiter person, and he has an Aries moon, so he's a pioneer. And it's really funny because I have the 10th house Saturn too, and that 10th house Saturn, or that Saturn on the MC, has a lot to do with being a mover and a shaker when it comes to your community and your career, like whatever your chosen path is. But it also has a lot to do with ostracization and people, like the authorities of your chosen career, not really liking or disagreeing or trying to silence or trying to ostracize for your contributions a lot of times, right? Or kicking you out because you're not following in line, you're not following the rules, you want to be a pioneer, you want to do your own thing, right? And it's funny because he's a Scorpio rising with the Capricorn sun, and I'm a Scorpio sun with the Capricorn moon, and he has an Aries moon. And we see with people that have cardinal energy, specifically Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, and Libra, people that have cardinal sign energy, they are the pioneers. They're going to do something that hasn't been done before, and they're going to bring a new perspective, a new idea, a new direction, or a new observation, or a new finding, or a new discovery, or a new something to their chosen career field or their chosen career path, right? Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Cancer, they are the pioneers of the zodiac. They're the initiators, the starters, right? I have a lot of cardinal energy in my chart as well. And so, when I was looking at Stephen Forrest's chart, and after the things that I've experienced over the last, year and a half with other astrologers, I realized that, a lot of the things that I've come to learn or that I've discovered along my own astrological, journey, um, I'm going to be sharing or teaching with the world in the future, sharing with the world, teaching, and it's going to be my own brand. It's going to be the things that I kind of like come up with, or the things that I discovered in being astrologer, right? And it's going to be my own brand of astrology that I'm going to be sharing with people, and it's going to be a pioneering thing that's going to challenge a lot of the our preconceived notions of astrology, but it's also going to be blending different systems together, which I think is the future of astrology. I think the future of astrology is the Eastern and the Western systems of astrology merging and being blended together, and then us kind of coming up with this with a lot of different new types of processes or ways of understanding and doing astrology. And I really feel this because um, I'm a pioneer. I'm a visionary, you know? And I think the biggest thing that's missing right now in astrology is intuition and understanding astrology as an intuitive and as a divinatory science. And I think this is why prediction has been in such a weird space in astrology, and why there's some astrologers that are like all about it, and there's a lot of very intense there's a lot of Western astrologers that are very much against it in a very intense weird way. And I think it's because we have forgotten that astrology is a spiritual practice, and it's a divination science, and it has a lot to do with our relationship with the divine. And how can we be good astrologers if we don't have a relationship with the divine and spirit? If we don't have a good life philosophy? How can we divinate, and how can we um predict and speak to people's experiences and stuff if we don't have that relationship with the cosmos? And there's so many astrologers of today that are so hell-bent on trying to make astrology legitimate. They're trying to legitimize astrology and make it all scientific, and astrology is a science, and because they want other people to accept astrology as this like scientific cold thing, and it's not. It will never be just a science. It's so much more than that. Inherently, astrology is spiritual, it's intuitive, it's divine, right? It's literally it's reading about the patterns of the planets. It's celestial in nature. It's magical in nature. And for us to try to water it down and sterilize it to make it accessible and to make it legitimate so that, the everyday logical common person accepts it, no. I think we're doing it a huge disservice. And if we are not honoring astrology as a sacred spiritual science and as, mystical and magical, and to the point where there's certain things that cannot be explained, even if we don't have a good philosophy or a good spiritual understanding to accommodate our astrological practice, then it's what are we doing? It's we're not going to be accurate. We're not really doing it with true meaning, and we're not really giving ourselves permission to experience the full power and potential of what astrology has for us. You know what I mean? Astrology is so powerful, and as a divination science and as a sacred science, right, it is capable of doing so much and allowing us to see so much, and it's a very, very powerful science. I've seen, I see every day just how powerful it is. um, but I also think it's a tool for manifestation. I also think that, it is a uh, it is a voice of the divine and God, and the planets are able to speak to us and give us instruction if we're listening, just beyond the planets and the charts. You know what I mean? And because, you could look at a chart. I mean, you could look at a chart. What is this telling you, right? Like, you could look at this. You look at this chart, right? What does it say? When you look at a pie chart, most people look at this and there's no meaning. They don't get nothing from this, right? They're looking at this and they're like, okay, well, it's a circle with lines and symbols and it doesn't mean anything. When I look at this, I start hearing things, I start seeing things, I start getting informational downloads, and it's coming from the planets because I've cultivated a relationship with the planets. Therefore, when I'm looking at them in someone's chart, the planets are speaking to me. That's my relationship with astrology, right? I've cultivated a spiritual, intuitive relationship with the planets beyond just the stars, right? Beyond just the planets themselves. Like, Jupiter to me is not just planet Jupiter. Jupiter is Ganesh. Jupiter is my obsession with elephants. Jupiter is my joy. Jupiter is my altar. Jupiter is Jesus to me. Jupiter is, he's an archetypally, Jupiter shows up as a lot of different things in my life. And it's not just planet Jupiter, the planet of abundance. No, Jupiter is, the good father. And I have a strong relationship with Jupiter. I'm doing his work for him, sharing the wisdom, sharing the knowledge, guiding people, healing people, teaching people, helping people be. Oh, I'm doing astrology and Jupiter in astrology. No, it's deeper than that for me. It's way deeper. My relationship with Jupiter and Saturn, these two planets, very, very sacred. And I want you guys to think about that, especially those of you that are thinking about, you want to become an astrologer, tarot reader, you want to build like a spiritual business and all this. The faith and the spiritual piece is the foundation, right? The Reiki, the astrology, the tarot, the oracle cards, the body energetics, these are all just tools that you use to go ahead and accomplish what you've come here to do, which is to heal people, to help people, to be of service to people, to guide people, to make people's lives easier, you know? And astrology helps us with that, right? Astrology is very much the blueprint in a lot of ways, and it helps us blueprint our life. It helps us plan things. If we are in relationship with the stars, we can, manifest things. We can use our charts to manifest stuff in like a divine moment, and to get into alignment with what our chart tasked us is tasking us with, right? Or what is available to us based on our chart. A lot of different options are available to us based on the way our chart is built. I just want to share this with you guys because I really feel like, we need to have a deeper relationship with the stars and with the planets. We need to have a deeper relationship with our own tools and our own craft. And we have to give ourselves permission to kind of be unique and be different and do things the way that we want to do them, or do things the way that really work for us. You know, um, that's super important, especially with Saturn and Aries, Neptune and Aries. Like, for those of us that are pioneers, there is no blueprint. There is no manual of how to go ahead and do it and how to get it done, right? If you're a pioneer, there's a lot of trial and error. You're going to have to get comfortable with making mistakes. You're going to have to get comfortable with dropping the ball. You're going to have to get comfortable with attempting and trying something and be like, oh, wait a minute, that's not really working. That didn't function for me. Let me go ahead and pivot. Let me try this out. Let me try something else. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, okay? Because when you are a pioneering energy, when you are a visionary, when you are someone that's been sent here to kind of bring something new or birth something in the world that hasn't been seen or hasn't been done before, you got to really have that faith in yourself. You really got to believe in yourself because no one else can see the vision a lot of times. No one else is going to be able to do it. You've been given the task, right? You've been given the mission. You've been given the assets and the tools. You've been given the idea. You've been given the passion. You've been given that goal or that dream, and that's for you to fulfill, no one else. Right? So it's just really trusting in that. You know what I mean? The other thing that's really fascinating is if you do nothing with, like, so, Spirit the Divine, God drops these ideas into our head, drops these ideas into our head, right? And it's like we're always being given these like breadcrumbs around, like, go in this direction, do this, do that. The universe is always showing us, oh, this is what you can have, this is what your life can be like, this is what you can do, this is what's possible for yourself, right? But if we get those ideas and we don't act on them, you know what happens? They're going to be given to someone else, right? So this is one of the interesting things. Like Michael Jackson said this, right? He had a dream where there was like a song. He had a dream of a song. And he's like, "Oh, I got to write this song. I got to do it because if I don't write this song that came to me in the dream, Lionel Richie's going to write it." He literally said that. He was like, if I don't do nothing with it, the gift was given to me, the idea, the sound was given to me. If I pass up on the opportunity, and if I do nothing with it, well, guess what? The God that created the universe is going to give it to someone else who will do something with it, right? Because you're not doing nothing with it, right? So that's why it's also like we're given these ideas, we're given these opportunities, we're given these visions, we're given these desires, we're given these passions for a reason to kind of show us, oh, this is what you can do, this is what's possible. But if you skip out on it, if you don't take your moment and if you don't take ownership of the idea, the mission, the vision, whatever, it will be given to someone else to accomplish because even though it's tasked to you, you're not in alignment, you're not carrying through the task. Well, guess what? We're going to give it to someone else who's going to do something with it. You know? That's how it works. And that's also what happens with our children. We inherit our kids inherit our own faults or our own mistakes and stuff, right? So if you didn't, your kid will. Okay? If you had a talent, right? Let's say you were super gifted with singing or guitar or whatever, right? You had a talent, you're gifted. You did nothing with it. So guess what? You have a child who's born with a guitar talent and they want to be an artist. They're like, "Mom, Dad, I'm going to write an album." When they're 4 or 5 years old, "I'm going to make music. I'm going to be a musician." Well, guess what happened? They inherited your talent, your desire, your goal, your dream. So now your mission as a parent is to what? Help them accomplish it and achieve it in the way that you didn't, right? And a lot of parents, let me tell you where they fuck up. Let me tell you where they fuck up, royally fuck up, is they actually end up standing in their own child's way out of jealousy, out of envy, out of comparison. They don't want their kid to do better or be better than them. Their ego, they're too prideful, they're too arrogant. Their ego doesn't want to allow their child to be better and do better than them. So instead of supporting them and helping them and guiding them and helping them accomplish the goal that they didn't, they get resentful. Yeah, they get jaded. And that is, I will tell you right now, that is the biggest way to fuck up your karma. There are so many, like, the karma of being a fucked up parent. Just don't have kids in that case. Just don't have kids. Okay. I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you how it's like a weighted scale. Like when it comes to karma, like when it comes to the karmic laws, and when it comes to Judgment Day, the karmic duty of being a parent is weighed very, very heavy. Weighed very, very heavy. Okay. It's going to be, for those of you that become parents, it's going to be 50-60% of your test score at the end of life. Okay. And you still got time to fix it and salvage it. Okay. You still got time. But the way you're going to be graded and the weight of your parental grades is going to weigh heavy on that life score of yours. I will tell you that right now. Okay. So if you're like if you don't want that level of karmic retribution, if you don't want to even deal with that karmic test of being a parent, just avoid it altogether. Don't even have kids. Because I'm gonna tell you, you are going to be the grade that you're gonna get on parenting is gonna be weigh very, very heavy against you karmically. And you better be the best parent that you can be because let me tell you, that's the way that you're gonna free yourself karmically, you know? You won't have to do it again. But there is the karma of being a parent is a very heavy one and it's a very difficult. I think it's one of the most difficult things to do. I think it's we think about oh babies and parenting and it's this like beautiful thing. Yes, it is, but it's also I think one of the biggest tests of human character is parenting. I think it's one of the most difficult things to do as a human being is to raise another soul and to parent another soul because you're given absolute power over this little being, you know, for a large chunk of your life. And the test is what are you going to do with that power? Are you going to be compassionate and loving? Are you going to be patient and kind and understanding? And are you going to do your best to sacrifice yourself to cultivate this little spirit? Or are you going to be mean and abusive and toxic and chaotic and selfish and just ruin your karma. And guess what, baby? You're coming back again, right? Your next life, you're coming back as a child. And guess what? Your child's gonna become your parent. And what you gave them, they're gonna give you back tenfold, right? And that's how we end up with these really broken karmic patterns in families and these horrible relationships between parent and child, just very, very toxic, very unhealthy, very 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 toxic parental dynamics. It's a karmic pattern. It's a karmic pattern that gets inherited, you know? It really is, you know? And you'll see it, troubled mother-daughter relationships going back generation to generation, toxic mother-daughter dynamics, the abandoned father, the missing father dynamic, the karma of the missing father, going back 5, 6 generations, you'll see it. It's like a karmic pattern. You'll see it over and over and over and over until someone decides to do something different, until someone decides to do something better. Yeah, exactly. Someone said, so those with bad parents, we were the bad parents in a past life. Exactly. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell people this when I'm giving people karmic readings. Like, they're like, why am I dealing with this? Why is my life so hard in this lifetime? I'm like, well, you were a shitty person in a past life. Where none of us are perfect. No, we all are various degrees of shitty, right? Like, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, right? But some of us, we really messed up in some lives. Some of us, we made some really bad mistakes in the way that we treated others and also what we did in society. Like, some of us, we abuse power at a very massive scale. So, people that have really, like, it just seems like their life is like really tough. A lot of those people were given power or authority or given money in a past life and they did terrible things with it. So that's why if you are someone that ends up in a power position, like you end up as a celebrity, you end up as a CEO, you end up as a boss, or you get blessed with like a lot of riches or wealth, you got to be very mindful of how you spend it and how you experience it and what you do with that power. You got to be very, very aware, of how you express your power and your authority. You don't want to abuse it because if you abuse your power in this life, more than likely you're going to experience the abuse of power in the next one. That's how it works. It's literally tit for tat. It's literally, you know, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Because baby, that's exactly what's gonna happen. It's hard though, our spirit and our ego, we want to resist this truth. You know what I mean? We want to be as want to believe that we are just like so good and we're so righteous and we're so ethical and there's no way I could have done something like that in a past life, but little do you know it's crazy. All right, my loves, 3 o'clock. Oh, I'm gonna skedaddle, just share my some philosophy with you guys. I think we like to do astrology and to do tarot and stuff like this. To be really good as astrologers and tarot readers and as like intuitives and psychics, we need to really flesh out our relationship with these things. We need to really cultivate a strong relationship of like faith and spirit. Like we have to have a really solid belief system, because otherwise we're going to be very insecure around our spiritual practices or around the spiritual sciences without a strong, solid foundation of faith or a solid foundation of like belief to fit your astrological practice or your spiritual work into. Like if you can't incorporate your spiritual practices or even like, your spiritual tools into your belief system, and if they're in conflict, good luck with being able to use your spiritual tools. You're not going to be able to, right? Like for instance, you may have a belief, let's say you grew up Catholic. Let's say you're very Catholic. But then you want to be a healer, a psychic, an intuitive, right? So your Catholic upbringing, your faith tells you, oh, you know, witchcraft, astrology, tarot, witchcraft. That's wrong. That's immoral. That's the devil's work. But then there's this other part of you that's like, I know this is right. I want to be a healer. I want to be an intuitive. I want to be a psychic. I want to be an astrologer. This is my truth. This is what resonates with me, right? If your faith and your belief is in conflict with the actual practice, with the spiritual or occult sciences, and your passion for those things, you're not going to be able to read. You're not going to be able to do readings. You're not going to be able to, the stars aren't going to speak to you. You're not going to be able to use the tools because your foundation of faith, your belief systems are in conflict with the tools themselves. You see what I'm saying? They have to be in working with one another, right? In order for you to believe in order for you to be able to do astrology and tarot, you have to believe in them. And you also have to believe that they're good and that they're healthy and that they're God ordained and that they're righteous and that these are sacred sciences, spiritual sciences, right? That are here to bring love and here to bring understanding and here to bring truth and here to bring clarity in people's lives. If you in your heart feel that tarot and astrology is of the devil and it's dark and it's, whatever, whatever, you're not going to be able to do tarot and astrology. You're not going to be able to. You're not, because why? Your faith is in conflict with your faith is in conflict with the work, with the tools. You're not even feeling confident in them. You don't even agree with them. You're like, "Oh my God, it's the devil." Like, you got to get over that. Right? I know. I know deep in my heart, deep in my spirit, tarot, astrology, all these things that we've been gifted, they're of God. They come from God. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? And no matter what it is, things can be used for good and things can be used for evil, no matter what it is. And go, just go look at the churches today. Go look at the way the Bible is being used today. Go look at the Christian Catholic Church today. Do you think they're doing more good or more evil in the world? They are using the scripture, which should be a book of good, for very evil, devious things. You can go look at all the pastors and all the preachers and stuff like this who are just riding in wealth and taking advantage of their congregation and they're living in $1 million homes and they're not using that money to give to the poor. There's so much corruption. Anything can be used for bad or evil. Even the things that we think are good or that are perfect or that are of God, like the Bible. Oh, the Bible is God's truth. Oh, the Bible. No, the Bible is written by man. And the Bible, we're seeing people use it today to do a lot more harm than good. That's the truth. So, what's the difference between the Bible and tarot cards? Tarot cards can be used for good or bad too. Anything. Money can be used for good or bad. You know what I mean? It's all about the intention, it's all about your heart. If your heart and your spirit is in a good place, no matter what it is that you touch, no matter what it is that you do, it's going to be good. It's going to be of God and of the divine because it's coming from a good place because your intention, your heart, and your spirit is in a good place, right? So I just want you guys to think about this because there's a lot of people that want to do astrology and tarot and they want to get into spiritual work, but they don't, but they have to reconcile their faith with the work. They have to find a place for their faith in their work. And they gotta combine the two. You know what I mean? A solid foundation of faith allows you to do the work. You see what I'm saying? and you got to believe in it. If you don't believe in astrology and tarot, if you don't believe that these things are magical and divine, if you don't believe that the planets are talking to us, if you don't believe that spirit can go ahead and send us messages through the cards, you got to work on that before you're even doing readings, before you're even messing with the stars. You know what I mean? And the cards. Because otherwise they're not going to be able to give you the accurate, clear information that you're looking for because you don't even believe it. You don't even believe. You don't even believe. Craziness. Craziness. You know? And that's one of the things that allows me to do my work is my conviction. People don't even question me. Like I walk around tell, oh yeah, I do astrology, I do tarot. I have not had like I I can't think of an experience I've had over the last 4 years where someone has like challenged me or pushed back on like my like tarot astrology practice and like my form of like spiritual understanding, you know? I can't even think of a moment where someone like questioned me or someone like pushed back. It's because the way I carry myself and like my passion and my conviction and my work is like so strong that I don't even give space for someone to like challenge me or to like question me, you know? It just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Because I feel very, very secure in my work and what it is that I do, you know? So I just want to share that with you guys because we need more astrologers and tarot readers. We need more spiritual practitioners. This is the future. We're going to be seeing a lot more people getting into this kind of work. And I'm sharing this with you all to kind of recruit some of you because, we are entering this timeline where, the spiritual sciences are coming more alive and we're going to start to get more proof of the spiritual sciences as well, which is really cool. We're starting to see this thing where science and spirituality is they're both confirming each other, like all the like, the physicists and stuff, they're like, wait a minute, I don't know, maybe the astrologers are onto something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe the Bible is onto something, it's really funny because I think it's a full circle moment. It's funny how science has been so detached from spirit and so from spirituality, from faith, from the unseen and the unknown. And it's insane to see how science is coming full circle. It's coming right back to faith. It's coming right back to conversations about God. It's coming right back to the unseen and the unknown and the mystical and the magical. Like science is coming full circle, you know? Yeah, it's in technological. Yeah, it's so interesting. It's fascinating. Someone said spiritual licensed therapist here. I love that. I love that. We need more spiritually informed therapists, and stuff like this. Yeah, it's really cool. All right, my loves. Well, I love you all so much. And I am grateful for your guys' love and your referrals. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've been super busy. I've been doing a lot of readings for people on the other side of the world. So, it's been really interesting actually. I've been doing readings for more men, which has been really cool, and I've been doing a lot of readings for people on the other side of the world. So I've been having to do readings like in the morning and at nighttime and stuff like this. So, but I just wanted to say thank you everybody that has been referring their friends and their family to me. I love you all so much, and I'm so thankful. I don't have any availability on my calendar this week, but I do have availability next week. I just took a look. And if you are interested in booking an appointment with me, get on my calendar. I do chart readings, I do tarot readings, I do both. I'll do a chart and a tarot reading for you in the same session. I also do transit readings and I do relationship readings. And oh yeah, my hair is, you like my haircut? Yeah, look at my hair. I don't know why I do that. My hair doesn't move. Like my hair is like the firmest, thickest. Look at this hair. Look at this. It is thick. It's like grass. I He could have cut a little bit more off on the top, but it's okay. I like it. It looks really good. I needed it. It's kind of giving Mohawk energy, kind of giving like Mohawk a little bit. But I love it. I love my little pompadour. I always do that because I like think it like, but it doesn't move at all. Like this is like not moving. This is firm. This is my natural hair, by the way. Like this is the way it is. Like this is what it does. It just like it's thick and it just puffs up and it's just well shaped. I don't have to do nothing to it. The Leo hair, yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, the hairiest signs are Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus. And I have Lilith and Leo, and I have a Scorpio stellium. So those are the hairiest. The Indian head shake. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I do have some availability next week. I'm gonna be offering a new reading because I've been doing a lot of this reading. Someone said asked me what vitamins do I take. I don't take any vitamins, but what I do work on for my hair is my kidney health. So your hair is connected to your kidneys. The strength of your hair, and you'll notice this as well with your fingernails. So the kidneys have a lot to do with your hair and your fingernails and their strength and their vitality. So um one of the things I do drink is I drink dandelion tea for the kidneys and for the liver, and I drink stinging nettle tea as well with the for the kidneys specifically. Stinging nettle is really good for the kidneys. I drink a lot of like, tea. I'm a big tea guy. I drink a lot of teas, okay? I do a lot of detox teas. I have my ginger chamomile. I have my like green tea ginger. I have like my what do you call it? My fennel chamomile ginger that I do. Dandelion root is the same. Yeah, dandelion flower, dandelion root. Yeah, really, really good for the kidneys. Really good for the hair. Okay, but I don't actually do anything for my hair. I don't actually do anything. My hair is just naturally like this. It's just like really thick and bushy and kind of insane, kind of everywhere. Um, but what I was saying is, oh, Shisandra berry tea is great as well. Um, Miss Made Strong is telling us that Shisandra berry tea is really good. It's good for the liver. Good for the liver. Yeah, liver and the kidneys are instantly connected. Yeah. Um, Oh, so what I was saying is I'm offering relationship readings. I'm gonna actually I gotta figure it out though, because it's gonna be an hour and a half reading where we actually go live with both partners. So it's going to be a relationship reading that's not just it's not an individual reading, it's a partner reading. So I'm going to call it a partner reading. Okay? And pretty much what we're going to do is go over both people's charts. We're going to talk about your guys' synastry, maybe look at individual transits and what's going on for the both of you, but it's really going to be more focused on it's going to be kind of like a relationship counseling astrological session where we take a look at the two charts, we take a look at the pressure points in your guys' synastry, we take a look at the good so we can focus on the good, and we take a look at the bad to see what areas of tension or pressure exist in the relationship so that we could work on things, okay, and make the relationship a little bit better, a little bit harmonious, things like this. It's something that just kind of organically started happening. So over the last like month and a half, 2 months, I've been doing a lot of couples readings. It's really interesting actually. I've been doing a lot of couples readings, and so readings for couples where I'm doing both of their charts together. Like it started off with like one person, and then all of a sudden, like they were like, "Oh, would you be open to this?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Let's try it out." And it went really well, and then they started referring other people to me, and now it's become like a thing where I'm doing like relationship partnership readings, so I'm definitely going to be offering that. I'm going to add that to my menu this week. I just got to figure out the timing thing around it because all my readings right now are only an hour long, but that one's going to be an hour and a half long because it's two people's charts and it's just going to take more time. So yeah, someone said that is crazy. I was just thinking about that this morning, recommending friends to you. Very cool. Yeah, yeah, because and it's so interesting because also we can see the power dynamics that show up in relationships, and also I can see the past life patterns or the past life dynamics between the individuals, which is informing certain dynamics that they're in today, right? So a lot of times, for instance, let me explain. Like I'll get a download in a past life where one partner was property or owned by the other partner. So one partner didn't feel like agency or power or freedom in the relationship in that past life. So in this lifetime, they have a really hard time with letting go of power, letting go of control, or with even like committing, or even like doing the whole marriage thing because they've had a pattern of experiences. It may be with that particular individual or with like marriage or love in general, where their autonomy or their freedom or their free will was taken away from them in marriages, or where they were forced to marry someone that they didn't want to marry. So they have a deep fear, a deep paranoia around marriage and around the concept of it. And they're very rebellious or they're very much against it, right? So they could be in love and have this very passionate relationship and they can have this partner that they want to like grow with, but they can have a really hard time with evolving and moving into that marriage partner chapter of their life because of a karmic past life pattern associated with being in toxic or abusive marriages or being with toxic and abusive partners. So, right? So within themselves, they're like, I really love this person, but I don't know why. I just feel like I don't want to be married and I don't want to be tied down and I don't want to be controlled and I don't want to, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to sacrifice my freedom, right? But I love this person and I want that, but I'm just feeling very weird or very disconnected from the idea or the concept of marriage. And then I do the reading for them, and then all of a sudden it all makes sense. Like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. So it kind of gives them permission to free themselves of this kind of fear, this kind of hesitation around marriage that's based off of past life trauma, so that in this lifetime, in with this person that they're with now, they can go ahead and do the marriage thing. And they can do the marriage thing in a way where they're healing and redefining the relationship with marriage, where they have agency and power in the relationship, right? Where in the past lives they didn't. So things like this come up when I do relationship readings, or even when sometimes when I'm just doing a synastry reading for someone, I don't have the other person present, and they're trying to wonder like, why is this person so hot and cold with me, or why does this person have a hard time with committing? And then I get the downloads and the information comes in, right? If I did a synastry reading with you using my ex's chart, are you able to see what I was meant to learn from the whole experience in order to fully move on? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yep. Someone asked, my mom is a caregiver for my stepdad, and your reading really helped her and to take some stress off and feel less burden. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, um, that's wonderful. I'm happy for her. It's been like, it's been like such a like, oh my God, it's been like so cool to see the growth and the evolution of my clients that really take my guidance and my words to heart. Like it's been so cool to see like my clients and how their life like evolves and changes based off like the wisdom and guidance that I give them and when they actually like apply it. Like it's just so cool to see, Like a few years ago I did a reading for a client. I think I shared this in my stories where, she had the chart of a nurse and right away I was looking at her chart. I was like, dude, woundedness with schooling, not really thinking you're intelligent or capable, wanting something better. And I just kept getting nursing school, nursing school, nursing school, right? So in her reading, I was like, did you always want to like go to nursing school, but you like didn't have the opportunity to, or even when you were like in your 20s, like you had to like work, or you had to take care of like a family member or something, so you couldn't go to school? And they're like, yep, exactly. I wanted to go to nursing school. I wasn't able to because I ended up getting married and having a child. And so I had to be a mom. And so I kind of had to abandon my goal of being like a nurse, even though that's something I've always thought about when I was a child and I wanted to do. So I was like, all right, well, you have Jupiter going through your ninth house of higher education this year. And, or, I think it was like they had that transit coming up. And I was like, this is a beautiful opportunity for you to go back to school and for you to kind of choose you and do you and go and do that thing that you kind of abandoned in your 20s. So I did a reading for them. This was like maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I did a reading for them like maybe a month, 2 months ago. And they're 2 years into their nursing program. They're about to be done. They're so happy and they're so thankful. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's been the best experience ever. I just feel like this is for me. Everything's been so easy. I've been loving it. And I just feel like this is really something that I've been doing for me. And I'm just so thankful for your guidance because if you never gave me that kind of like guidance and like never gave me that like push, you know, I wouldn't have gone to nursing school. I wouldn't have done it. And here I am about to graduate. They're graduating at the end of this year. And it just made me so happy. I was like, oh, like I'm just so happy that like, and it's so cool because it's so aligned, right? It's like I saw it in the chart. It was so aligned. It was a download that I got, and being able to share that, with them and seeing how just that one session, right, and me giving that guidance, like motivated them to go back to school and do all that, and to see where they're at now. And like, it's just such a cool thing. It's just such a beautiful thing. And that's the true power of like divination. That's the true power of like the stars and astrology. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not about prediction. It's about really showing people what's possible for them and really like giving people that push or that guidance of like, this is what I see for you. This is what your chart says. This is what the divine and spirit has available for you. If you want it, it's there. You don't have to, but it's there for you if you want it. And if you want it, if you do the work and if you're willing to put in the time and the energy and you're willing to do the hard things, that's the other thing. It's like some of our greatest blessings or greatest gifts come from doing the hard thing in our chart. Like for instance, right? You've always struggled with sobriety or something, right? Um, Going sober may be the hardest thing for you, and sobriety will bring you the greatest gift, the greatest blessings. You stay sober, you commit to sobriety, your love life shows up, your career life is prospering, you're all healthy, everything goes good in your life. That's how it works. And sometimes it's just foregoing one vice. It's just letting go of that one thing or overcoming that one thing that really allows us to abundance and the blessings and the opportunities, right? And for that client with the schooling, for them it was not really believing that they were intelligent or smart enough. Like that was the big message. It's like, oh, I can't go to college, I can't go to school, I can't be better and do better for myself because I don't think I'm capable, because I don't think I have the intelligence for it, right? So that was the down that I got, and I expressed that to them. They're like, oh my God, that's so true. Like not only was it life circumstances at the time, but even when I have opportunities to go to school, I haven't, because I really didn't believe in myself or really didn't think I was smart enough to become a nurse. And here they are 2 years later, you know, 2 years later doing the thing, right? So a lot of times we got to do the hard thing. We got to overcome the fear. We got to overcome that kind of thing that we always tell ourselves. I can't, I won't, I'm unable to. It could be a fear, anxiety. It can be it can literally be a limitation as well. It could be like a setback or limitation. And I think about this with Gavin Newsom, right? Gavin Newsom is dyslexic and he can't read or write. And this man's going to be our president come 2028, right? Imagine if Gavin Newsom was like, you know what? I'm dyslexic. I can't read or write, so I can't be a businessman. I can't be a politician. I can't do anything that is like, you know, it's like him having to overcome the disability of reading and writing. And now he's governor of California. He was before he was the governor, he was a successful businessman, and this man is en route to becoming the president of the United States, and he can't read or write. What's your excuse? What's your excuse? Right? You got to do the hard thing. You got to do the hard thing, and you can't let the limitations that Saturn has given you in this lifetime hold you back from accomplishing the goals, because those limitations are meant to be the things that you're overcome, that are going to refine you, they're going to test you, and you're going to master those things. So that's the other really cool thing, is like what initially is like a limitation or a setback becomes something that you master and that you overcome. And this is like with Maya Angelou. Okay, same thing with Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou didn't start speaking until she was like 5 or 6 years old. Okay. Maya Angelou could not read or write when she was younger. Like she had a really hard time with schooling and education. She had a really hard time with like her teachers. She was told like she was not going to be academically successful and things like this. Okay. Flash forward, Maya Angelou became one of the best, most notorious, most successful poets of the 20th century, one of the most well known throughout the world. Okay, she could not read a word when she was young. Literature in the written word was the most difficult for her, and she actually didn't even couldn't even speak. She wasn't even speaking until she was like 5 or 6 years old. Okay, and it became the thing that she mastered, and it became the thing that she was the greatest at: poetry, writing, public speaking. Right? So it's literally how it works. It's like we do the hard thing. We overcome the thing that we're afraid of. We overcome the thing that is a disability in our life, that is a limitation, the burden that Saturn has given us to carry, right? We all have it in some type of way. It could be our looks, it could be our mental health, it could be an addiction, it could be a learning disability, it could be anxiety thing, it could be, a resource thing, it could be where you grew up, it could be your identity. There's so many different ways that Saturn limits us and Saturn burdens us and Saturn tests us, right? And we are able to overcome these things. If we are able to overcome these things, we get the biggest and the best reward possible. I've seen it with a lot of celebrities. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in the lives of others. I've seen it in the lives of my clients. Okay. And it's one of the most beautiful things about Saturn is when you rise to the challenge and you're like, you know what? I'm not gonna let you boss me around. I'm gonna actually overcome it and do it better. Then guess what? Not do it better, but I'm gonna overcome it and I'm gonna rise up to the challenge and I'm gonna master it, right? Whatever. Then you see the growth and the expansion. Yeah, you gotta be a little delulu. Faith is delusional in a way. It is. We tend to think that we tend to give delusion like a bad thing, but delusional is also being optimistic and faithful and also being like best case scenario type of person. It's like delusion is good when it's like when delusion is full of possibility and optimism and potential, delusion can be a very good thing. Delusion can be a very, very good thing, actually. Oh, my little baby over there, my little precious little gem. Look at your little handsome little boy over there. He's so cute. We need delusion to manifest. Yeah, we do. Delusion is a Pisces thing. We're delusional about the wrong things, and we are never delusional about the right things. So faith is the foundation, my loves. Be delulu. Don't be afraid. Don't let your limitations hold you back. Overcome them because they become the foundation of your success. They really do. Your limitations become the foundation of your success. How to increase belief in yourself. Do things that you believe you can't do. Because then once you show yourself that you could do things that are impossible, do things that you didn't believe you could do, you prove to yourself that you could do those things. And all of a sudden your faith and your belief in yourself goes up, you know? You have to do things and commit to things that are hard and difficult where you challenge your own belief in yourself. Where you show yourself that you are capable and you are able, that you believe that you can do these things. This is why I have so much faith in myself, is because like I do things every day that I never thought that I could do in the beginning, you know? Like I never thought that I could sing or play guitar, and I taught myself those things. I never like when I was getting into, spiritually awakening and stuff, I always wanted to believe that like psychics and that mediums and that like astrologers and that like tarot readers are like the real deal. I always wanted to believe it. I've always wanted to believe that magic is real. I've always wanted to believe that there are ghosts and there are spirits. Like I've always wanted to believe in these things. Okay. And now that I'm like a practicing astrologer and tarot reader, and like I have these moments where I'm like doing mediumship sessions, especially with the tarot, it comes through really strong with the tarot. It's like, wow, I believe in these things because I'm doing them, you know? And it's crazy because my faith in these things has become so strong because I'm literally doing them every day. And it's like the belief and the faith has come from the action for me, you know? It's come from the action of the doing. Like, if I believe I can do something, I will do it. And I have this kind of conviction and faith in myself that I've cultivated by doing things. You see? I started reading The Power of the Subconscious Mind, practicing affirmations, dance, alchemy, change my whole. Yeah, yeah, all that works. Um, mirror work, subconscious, shadow work, subconscious reprogramming, daily affirmations, moving the body, getting energy out of the body, dancing, all that stuff really, it really works, really helps, you know what I mean? With kind of with the self, with the faith, in the self. But you got to believe though, you got to cultivate faith, you got to also cultivate a strong faith in like the divine and spirit. I think that's really mirrored in the faith in the self. I think the stronger that someone's faith is in the divine and spirit, the stronger their faith is in themselves to be able to do things that are bigger than them, right? This is why like a lot of people that are very successful or they become, successful and stuff like this, they always, even creatives and stuff, they're like, I didn't do this by myself. Like I did this through my faith in God and my faith in spirit, right? Because like the ego can only carry us so far. Where when we have that conviction and faith in the things that are bigger and greater than us, we can also expand into we can expand it to an energy, or we can expand it to a calling or a mission that's bigger and greater than us as well. The ego is very limited. We can only do so much by ourselves. This is one of the things I was explaining when it comes to like astrology and tarot and stuff like this. um I was saying it yesterday in my stories. I was saying that it's only through spirit and the divine that my work is possible. Like I wouldn't be able to do tarot readings and astrology and stuff like this without my relationship with spirit and the divine, and without that conviction and without that faith, you know, because that information is coming from source. That information is coming from the divine. It's coming from something greater than me and bigger than me. I'm just the vessel, I'm just the oracle, right? So it's my relationship with spirit and the divine that actually makes the tarot and the astrology come alive and makes the magic possible, right? So I think it's also important that we have to believe in things that are bigger and greater than us as well. Faith in the self is one thing, but faith that the self can do things that are in relationship with spirit and the divine is so much bigger, so much greater, and things like this. But I also think that faith in self needs action. We can talk about ourselves all day. We can speak affirmations into ourselves, and we can go ahead and think highly of ourselves, and we can go ahead and shift our consciousness and shift our belief systems within ourselves. But it also needs action. Faith needs action. The self needs action. We need to see. We need to show ourselves that we're capable of doing what we believe we're able to do. And that's where the action piece comes in. Like, because it's always going to be a possibility or potential. It's not going to become real until you're actually doing it, until you're actually putting it into action and doing it. You see what I'm saying? That's when faith becomes reality. And that's when, conviction becomes reality, right? It's like it's through the action piece. Faith in action. There's actually a scripture about this, which you just type it in, just look up faith in action and it'll show up. Yeah, you need to become it and embody it. It needs to be like an action thing as well. You know what I mean? I was diagnosed with bipolar. I was called to quit therapy, didn't do medication, just practice my rituals, and I feel so much clearer. Our thoughts are not our own. It developed through experience and trauma, betrayal. None of it is true. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because like we have to figure out like, and I think this is the other thing. This is the thing I don't like about Western medicine, and this is the thing that I don't like about this like era of diagnoses and like the DHS manual, and everyone's got like ADD, everyone's bipolar, everyone's depressed, everyone's got some kind of mental illness, everyone's got some kind of personality disorder. The thing that I don't like about this, let me tell you what I don't like about this, okay? And why I don't subscribe to those things. Like, you'll never hear me say, oh, I'm a depressed person, or, I have moments of ADD, but I don't ascribe to the identity of what it is to be someone that has ADD or ADHD. I don't ascribe to the identity of being someone that has like, mental illness or personality disorder or anything like this, because those things we they're limitations. And this is my belief. You can totally believe what you want, okay? You can totally believe what you want. This is what I believe. Because these are things that are new. Okay? The DHS is new. The DHS showed up in 1920, 1930. Okay? People being bipolar and people being like chronically depressed and people having like, schizophrenic personality, that's new. That's all of the last 200 years or 100 years, right? Like, these things weren't given a name. Like, we didn't have these things that were ascribed to people. Let me tell you where my issue is. I think it's fine to give these things a name. Okay. Let me tell you where my issue is. My issue is in the way that modern medicine deals with these things by giving it a prescription, by giving it like, it's like you have an affliction now, and by like letting people identify with these things. I think that is very troubling, and I think it's very wrong, and I think it's very harmful, because you are not your illness or your sickness. You are not these things that the DSM tell you that you are. And we grow to identify with our illnesses and our sicknesses in a way that, exactly, we become a victim to it and we become attached to it. And to me, this is super red flag. This is super problematic, right? Because, yeah, you become a victim to it, then they can medicate you. And instead of helping you free yourself from being in that condition, all of a sudden you are someone that has ADHD. You are someone that is chronically depressed. You are someone that's bipolar. You are someone, right? And then in your own mind, what is that telling you? I'm not perfect. I'm broken. I have a problem. I'm broken. I have a problem. I have a broken. And then it becomes an excuse. Oh, I can't do this because I have. Oh, I can't because I have. Oh, because I, and it's all, and then all of a sudden it becomes a crutch, and we're leaning on that crutch, and then it's like it becomes a disability that we subscribe to, and we agreed to it. Oh, I have this disability, and we become very attached to it, and then it becomes the reason why we can't and why we don't. And this is my issue. This is my issue with this. It's super problematic because these are things that we're getting diagnosed with, that people are identifying with, that people are all of a sudden subscribing themselves to, where all of a sudden that illness or that diagnosis, it becomes their identity. And that's fucked up and that's weird and that's wrong and that's not how it should be, right? It should be, okay, this is something that you're experiencing, this is something that you're going through, right? And we're going to come up with a plan on how to help you through this and how to overcome this. Not, this is your diagnosis and this is your fucking badge of depression and your badge of ADDness and this is your badge of bipolarness that you're going to have to wear, and this is who you're going to be, and now you're a broken person, and now you have to subscribe to the limitations of that, and now this is part of your identity, and now you have to wear this badge and it's who you're going to be forever, and now you have to take this medication forever because this is the way you are. And I strongly, strongly disagree with that. I think it's all wrong. I think it's broken and it's all wrong. And I think we need to be very mindful of letting other people, especially the modern Western system, okay, tell us that we're broken and tell us that, oh, you have this thing. You have this, like giving us a diagnosis. And then all of a sudden we allow that diagnosis to become us, and it becomes a limitation and it becomes the big blockage. I don't agree with that. I don't like it. It doesn't sit right in my spirit. It doesn't sit right in my heart. And it's not right. It's wrong. It's not the right way to go about medicine. And it's fucking up people's identity. It's fucking up people's self-perception. I don't like this. I don't like it at all. I don't agree with it. Okay? It's very unhealthy. All right. That's why we can't give these doctors, we can't give Western medicine, we can't give the DSM too much power over us, right? There was a moment in time from the 20s to the 60s where being gay, being LGBT was considered a mental illness. It was in the DSM where if you were an LGBT person, if you were a homosexual, you had a mental illness. And they would come up with different ways, all right, to alleviate you of that mental illness. Them drilling into the brain, them doing shock therapy, them brainwashing you. This is what LGBT people from the 20s to 60s had to deal with because of the DSM, right? So all of a sudden, being LGBT, where before the DSM, it was like, okay, it's a questionable thing in society, whatever. All of a sudden, it became an illness. The DSM made it an illness. An illness. You were an affliction. So if you were gay, all of a sudden you were psychologically unwell. You had a mental illness. This is why we can't give the DSM, we can't give modern psychology, we can't give, the Freudian people, we can't give, you know, we can't give them too much power because this is all relatively new. All right. And we got to be mindful of how modern medicine and how these diagnoses are impacting us identity wise, personality wise. You see what I'm saying? And we can't get too attached to these things. We can't get too attached to these things. You know, someone said, someone said it actually got worse once they told me. It didn't help me. Yeah. Yep. And just like we were saying before, what you believe, and yeah, what you believe you become. Exactly. So you said it. I have things to say on this, but too much too right now. I agree with you though, but there's a lot to that because yes, how society has chosen to go about it, and at the end of the day, whatever it is, you are the medicine. Yeah, and it's just like it's just understanding that like, we don't want to let an illness become an identity. That's my big thing. You don't want to let an illness become an identity, or you don't want to let a diagnosis become your identity. Like, you are not that. You are just the way I was telling you, you're not just like a child, you're not just like, a spouse, you're not just like a wife, you're not these roles that you play. You're also not the things that you get diagnosed with. Like, that's not who you are. Those are things that you should be trying to move away from. Like, you shouldn't like get attached to being like, oh, I'm bipolar and now I'm going to participate in the bipolar community. And now this is always something that I'm going to be struggling with. And, now because I'm bipolar, I have all these limitations. There's all these things that I can't do. Like, that is the worst way to go about it. Don't identify with it. Don't let it become a part of your community. Don't let it become a part. No, this is a thing that you're moving through. And one day you're not going to be bipolar anymore. That's the goal. That's the vision. Okay? Because just because a doctor tells you you're bipolar doesn't mean that's a personal affliction that you're always going to have. Doesn't mean that, you know what I mean? Like, no. No, 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 no. We're going about it the wrong way. We're going about it the wrong way, right? Like, at what point is being bipolar over? At what point is it being done? At what point are you healed through that? Right? What is the regimen to bring you back into healing, to bring you back into perfection, to bring you back into wholeness? You were always whole. You were always perfect from the very, very beginning. Yeah, we got to work on reprogramming the nervous system. Yeah, we got to work on some emotional stuff, some mental health, emotional stuff. Yes, there's some work that has to be done. But like, I feel like the diagnosis sometimes actually inhibits people and prevents people from growing and expanding. And it, like, someone said, it makes things worse. It makes things worse. You see what I'm saying? That's why when a doctor talks to me and tells I'm a ninth house for those one. This is the way I am. When a doctor tells me things, it gives me guidance. I'm like, okay, thank you, appreciate it. I'll consider it. But especially the doctors of today, dude. The doctors of today. Like, ugh, I can't agree with this more. It literally has me crying. So much about medicine is messed. There is good, don't get me wrong, but it is an aspect of things that totally is totally a mess. Yeah, and it's like modern medicine is great, and I don't want you guys to mishear what I'm saying, okay? There are people biologically, energetically, there's something going on in their mind and in their brain where the hormones are messed up, you know, where mental health is a real thing. But you know what I think, and this is my belief, and this is another one where I have very, very strong convictions. I think we are dealing with people with a society that has deep spiritual and emotional woundedness, and it's manifesting as psychosis and all these different personality disorders. And this is the issue. When you are living in a society and you build a society that has no foundation of faith, that has no consistent relationship or philosophy around purpose in life and our relationship with God and spirit, when all those things are blurry and funky and abandoned and disconnected, it's going to show up in the spirit of the people, and it's going to show up in the emotional body of the people. The emotional body, the people are going to be sick emotionally. People are going to be disconnected emotionally. People are going to be sad. People are going to be confused. People are going to be angry. And people are also going to have a disconnect from purpose, from faith, from optimism, from positivity, and also from what? From compassion. Community compassion, community love, connection, intimacy, closeness, truth, integrity, love. All these things we are so far removed from. It's because we do not have, as a society, we don't have a strong relationship with spirit and God in a way that's not hypocritical, okay? In a way that's truth and loving and compassionate and helping thy neighbor and being open and vulnerable. Like, we do not blame the individual. Okay. If we are in a pandemic of depression and psychosis and people committing suicide, that is not the individual's fault. There is a much larger problem that's happening from the top down. The education system is fucked up. The health system is fucked up. The food is fucked up. The religion is fucked up. The economy is fucked up. Like, there's so many other things. And the last place it shows up, the sickness and illness that is happening at a society level, the last place it shows up is in the individual. The individual, anxiety, anxious, depressed, scared, nervous, sick, ill, like depressed, all these issues that us as individuals are having, we're just the symptom of a much larger societal problem. That's why we can't take it too personal. You know what I mean? Yeah, you should be feeling sick and ill right now. Yeah, you should be feeling depressed and sad. Yeah, you should be feeling a little lonely and disconnected, baby, because that's the condition of this society that we're in right now. Go look at the top down. Go look what our president's at. That'll tell you everything you need to know about the mental health of this country. Okay, and the spiritual health. Look at the spiritual health of the United States right now. Absolutely disgusting. Ew, abhorrent, demonic, evil, corrupt. Look at the leaders. Look what's happening. Corruption, hypocrisy, pedophilia, criminals at the top of the food chain, liars, deceivers, manipulators, gropers, rapists, pedophiles at the top of society. No wonder we're all fucking sick and ill. No wonder we're all mad and depressed and sad. No wonder we're all trying to escape and avoid. It's everywhere. Everything is toxic. The food, the people, the culture, the religion, the politics. It's all toxic. It's all unhealthy. It's all gross. It's all disgusting. It's all immoral. There's nothing right about it. There's nothing righteous or truthful about this shit. It's all pollute. It's all polluted. It's all corrupt at this point. And this is the big problem. This is what happens in a society that has abandoned God and abandoned faith in the principles of spirit, in the principles of what it is to be a good human being. You don't need to be religious. You don't need to read the Bible to know what it is to be a good human being. We feel it. We know it in our heart. We know when we're being good or bad. We know when things are good or bad. We know when there's the righteous good thing to do and the unrighteous immoral thing to do. Everyone has that compass in their heart. Some people, they have it a little bit more clear than others, but we all know this, you know? But it's our pride, it's our ego, it's our greed, it's our selfishness that gives permission to these things, right? So we just got to go deeper, you know. This is the way I think. I'm very philosophical. This is what I do all day. I sit around pondering things and thinking very deeply about things. Okay? And I've thought very deeply about a lot of things, okay? And I really think about the condition of society right now, and especially here in the States, and it's so toxic and it's unhealthy. And so that's why there's so many people struggling right now because we're all struggling in some type of way, and it's a symptom of a much bigger problem or much bigger issue. So don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace. You know what I mean? Be patient. Give yourself some grace because it's like, there's just a lot of poison and corruption, in the air right now. And it's all coming to light. It's all coming to the surface. It's all being dug up right now, and it's being dug up in some really ugly ways. And we need to take a look at it, my loves. And we need to not be afraid, Very important because there's more coming. There's more that baby, we're just at the beginning. The can of worms is just being opened. The can of wor- we're just getting a sniff and a little taste of the can of worms right now. It hasn't even fully opened yet. The can hasn't even been opened yet. The beans haven't been spilled quite yet. It's on its way. So just want to let y'all know that because I think we have to stay grounded and we have to stay rooted as people. We can't let these kind of forces. We have to do our best to resist these forces so that we stay grounded and focused as spiritual beings and so that we remind ourselves that we're the ones that are here to help people understand what's happening, right? We're here to help people understand the transition. And me, I'm speaking for myself particularly. I know that I've been sent here at this period of time to be a spiritual guide for those as we're navigating these really trying times. And maybe someday, you know, my path and purpose may be about helping the collective or helping, the community in whatever way that looks, come back to faith or come back to God or have a better, healthier relationship with spirit and the divine, one that is beautiful and sacred and full of love and full of compassion and full of personal deep connection, that is my work as a ninth house Scorpio stellium with Saturn in the 10th in Sag, you know? And we gotta be a beacon of hope for people right now. You know what I mean? We gotta help the common man transition best way we can. When do we get to bitch slap these forces? Why couldn't the can of worms be open in the 90s when we're the adults? That's funny. Yeah, we go through these 20-year cycles of expansion and contraction. So the 60s to the 80s were about expansion. The 80s to the 2000s were about contraction. The 2000s to the 2020 was about expansion. And 2020 to 2040 is going to be about contraction. So 2020 to 2040 is going to remind us a lot of what happened from 1930 to 1950. It's gonna be a mirroring. It's gonna be like the same energy. Okay. It's gonna be a very, very. It's like a mirroring energy. So what happened from the 1930s but to the 1950s with like the stock market crash and the Great Depression and the World War II and all of that. That is the same energy that we're in that started in 2020 that's going to be going until 2040. Okay. So we are in a 20-year period of contraction. All right. And yeah, and this is like the Great Depression with robots. Like, that's what we're experiencing right now. So we're in like the Great Depression energy, but with like robots and like AI also a part of it. And drugs and like chemicals and like it's a little different. It's a little different. This Great Depression is a little bit different than the last one. Now we got robots everywhere. We got it's crazy. Like you can literally go out on the street, right? You go out on the street and you can like, you'll see some homeless people, whatever, and they're on their phones. They're like charging their phone, they're on their iPad, like what a weird time to be alive. Like I remember like a few weeks ago there was like there was like a video of a guy, I guess he was like driving around like downtown LA where there's like a whole bunch of homeless people. And there was this like homeless guy and he would like had his whole like tent set up and he was literally on his like Xbox, like he had his TV and he was like playing a video game on his Xbox, but he was like pitched up in a tent on the side of the road. But here he is like playing his video game. It was like such a weird time. It's like a weird time to be alive. It's like, what does the AI robot revolution look like in combination with the Great Depression? It's a weird energy. Um, yeah, it's just really interesting. Uh-huh. And another thing I was talking about, the shanty towns. Oh, that's weird. What's that? Oh, like a little piece of, that was weird. Little thing on my gum. Like, we had in the 1920s, we had the shanty towns, so you had all these little like homeless encampments showing up back then. And we have the same thing happening now. We have these homeless encampments, but they look very different, right? Instead of them being made out of metal sheets like scrap metal, which is how it was in the past, we see more plastic, or they actually do have tents now, like full on camping tents. A lot of homeless people have the camping tents and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. It's like the commodification of homelessness in a weird way. It's like being homeless today is very different because they didn't have like pitch tents back in the day. Like you couldn't get like a Coleman tent or anything like that back in the day. Where now it's like you can go to Walmart and you can, get a tent for like 20, $30, something like that. So it's just different. It's a different, but it's the same energy. It's the same energy. It's the energy of contraction and and we're seeing it right now. Look what's happening with the economy. Look at how expensive gas is. Look at how expensive food is. Look at all these layoffs that are happening. It's like the same energy. It's just different. It's a little different. It's like the 2.0 version. So, yeah. But yeah, just to give you guys some context, some understanding. Okay, for real this time I'm leaving. Okay? Dang, we were here for a long time. I got to speak some philosophy with you guys, though. I got to share some ideas with you guys. It was fun. I enjoyed this. I'm actually have a reading coming up in a few hours, so I got to take my dog on a walk and feed him, and I got to get ready for that. But um, for real this time, bye. I love you all so much. Thank you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and post this to my Instagram, and I'm also gonna go ahead and upload this to YouTube. Okay. But you guys take care of yourselves. Be well. We have a full moon in Libra coming up. Really, really exciting. And yeah, hope you guys learned something today. Hope you guys, there's a piece of information or maybe, some things that I gave you for you to think about today, you know? Things for you to consider, things for you to think about today. Okay. Mwah. Besitos. Have a good one. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Okay. And it's Aries season. No arguing, no fighting, unless they deserve it. All right. A lot of angry people around right now. Just be mindful of who you're giving that anger to. Okay. Some people deserve it, but not everybody does. Okay. So just be mindful. Just be mindful. All right, beautiful people. I'll see you around. Mwah. Bye. Take care.